This is the most expensive cup holder ever made. Luckily, I found you can use this for a variety of things. This is the alt angle, and it's actually designed as a bicycle repair stand that you can clamp anywhere. Now, the reason it's called the alt angle is you can pull these pins and move these jaws into any position you want to adapt it to different mounting locations. You can mount it to a railing, you can mount it to another bike. You can basically clamp it anywhere. But like I said, it is very expensive, $265. For that much money, you can get basically the best bike repair stand there is, but you wouldn't be able to take it with you and mount it anywhere. Now, the original reason for this in my shop was to attach to my fire pole, and if you have a fire pole in your shop, you know it really gets in the way. Now it's kind of integrated. It is my bike repair stand, and I found that this thing is really, really solid. They thought of all sorts of details. For example, if this handle gets in the way of something when you're trying to tighten it down, you can push this button and kind of ratchet it back. Now, one criticism I have of the alt angle is that despite it being called the alt angle, you can't change the angle of the bike like a real bike repair stand, but they're actually making an add-on for that. And I'm gonna be really excited to get that and start using it, because in my shop, as I said, this is my primary bike repair stand. I have no doubt that this is gonna last a long time. I have no doubt that I'm going to use it a lot. I have been, but that $265 price tag is definitely going to keep a lot of people away from this, all but the people who need it most. This next product is actually strapped to my bike right now. It's a tool wrap sent to me by Steve Pete. It's called the Hoodies wrap, and he loaded it up with stuff for us. I feel honored right now. Steve Pete won so many World Cups, he didn't even really give anybody else a chance to win them. Let's see what's inside. Beer money, very nice, and he's got a Hoodies inflator on it. This is actually pretty sweet. Hoodies tubeless repair kit, and a Hoodies 25-gram CO2 cartridge. First impression, this is extremely premium. Like, everything on this, it doesn't take up any more space than it has to, but the materials are really durable, and there's a reason he gave us this beer money. Inside this tool wrap, there's actually a waterproof compartment that you can put money, paper of any kind, or just something you really, really want to keep secure. So one thing that's interesting about the design is that the tool wrap is just like a little pouch that's off the bike. It's completely loose. And then the strap is separate. It's on the bike already. So you can take this and work with it, really convenient. Then when you want to put it back on, you can just stick it under there and use the loose strap to wrap it up. It's really secure as any wrap I've ever used. Based on other products and just what it is, I was expecting this to be like 60 bucks, but it's actually like 35 bucks. And so I guess he's not trying to rip anybody off. And as I've said in the past, I rarely review tool wraps because I already like the Dakine Hot Laps gripper kind of better than anything out there. But this is a little bit of a better form factor for this particular bike. It's long and skinny, and so I can fit it right in here. And so depending on what type of bike you have or where you're trying to fit a tool wrap, this might be for you. It's definitely for me. I think I'm gonna use it. I love this helmet partially because it has a removable chin bar. One of the only times I'll use the chin bar is to shoot with my GoPro. So this next product is a specially made chin mount for your helmet. So I've had subscribers in the past make mounts that go on the chin bars of helmets, but this is made by a company called Chin Mounts, and they have a whole website with a whole fit guide and all sorts of different helmets. And what I like about these is it's an actual shoe that a GoPro mount fits into, so you don't have to mess with your angle every time or mess with a screw. You can just pop it into your helmet and you're ready to go. Now what's great about that is if you want to review your footage or something, you just tilt your GoPro up and just pop it out and you've got it. And then if you want to put it back in, you don't, on this one, have to worry too much about the angle of the GoPro because it just slides in, and then you just basically push it back and it's at the perfect angle to capture your footage. Why are chin mounts so popular? Why are people capitalizing on this? It's the best location you could possibly put a GoPro, that's why. First of all, your head acts like a natural gimbal and stabilizes things a little bit. Second of all, on the chin mount, it's down low and it gets your handlebars in. You don't have to have a chest mount. If you turn your head, it'll change the angle of the GoPro. It's pretty much the perfect place to mount a GoPro, and this is pretty much the perfect mount for it. Now, the one downside to these chain mounts is if your particular full face is kind of weird or uncommon, they probably have not made a mount for it, but they do have a form that you can fill out to request one. These are 35 bucks, which is pretty steep for a little 3D printed piece of plastic. These probably cost 30 cents to make, but this looks really neat, and so for a lot of people, this is gonna be worth it. This is the Kuat Piston Pro X. It's what I use to get all these bikes down here. I put the big dummy inside of our family SUV. As you can see, it's set up for 3 bikes. I actually bought an additional add-on to make it 3 bikes. That brings this thing around the $2,000 price point. It's pretty expensive for a hitch rack, but it's really, really nice. Let me show you why. I'm future-proof with this thing. If I wanna put big, heavy e-bikes on it, no problem. It's super quick, really easy to get bikes on and off, and no part of the rack touches the frame. There are other racks like this, but this is a little bit more refined. Just one touch to open up these bike clamps. It retains all your vehicle's brake lights because it's kind of covering them a little bit. And the hitch plug that you plug in to make it do that actually has these little magnets to hold the wire to the rack. They kind of thought of everything. So even though all these bikes are on here, I can still open the hatch like a lot of other hitch racks by tilting it down. Just happens to be pretty easy to do. Also, if you need to adjust or tighten or fix anything on the rack, they've actually got an 8mm hex wrench built into this little piece over here, which is locked, so you can never lose it or get left without it. It of course has bike locks, happens to have a Kashima coating on the pistons over here. I really love this bike rack. I just have one criticism. It can't hold the big dummy. Or actually, I've never tried. Yeah, that's still my major gripe with this. Can't fit a long tail cargo bike. It's got one other cool feature, a lot of hitch racks have this. If you're going through a toll by plate or a red light camera, it's a get out of jail free card. Barring that one complaint, this has been an amazingly pleasant bike rack to use. As you know, I normally throw my bikes over a tailgate, and so I have very little patience for messing around with straps and stuff. I also must say it looks really nice, and that was important because it's going on my wife's SUV. So the next product I originally wasn't going to review, Falco sent me these frame bags. They're designed for holding firearms. Draw! And I said I would never use that. I typically ride with a longsword. But then I noticed they're really, really good frame bags, and the part that's meant to hold the firearm could actually be used for a lot of other things. And so I'm gonna review them. Now you might be wondering why a product like this even exists. If you live in Europe, you probably think everybody in the United States is ready to just draw. You'd be right. But there are, in fact, bike packers who live off the land, and some people are just riding in an area infested with grizzly bears, and they want to be prepared. I don't judge. But like I said, I really like the fact that these bags have a little strap on the inside to secure something and keep it from moving around, and they're really tactical. And this one was like almost designed for the big dummy with this huge head tube. And so I am definitely going to leave it here to access things quickly. I don't really need a frame bag right here, but it is a pretty good one. This is a filter bottle made by Grail, and not only does it match my big dummy, but it fits in my Toe Peak Java water bottle cage. And man, this thing is really, really well made. It had better be because it's pretty expensive. Now these range from 90 to 100 bucks or 200 if you get the titanium one, but this is just a normal $89 one, and if it costs that much, we should be able to filter any water we want. This stream seems pretty clean, but I don't like to take any chances. The way it works is you pull this out, you fill up your cup, and then you push the water filter into it. And now this is all clean water. You can fill up another water bottle, you can cook with it. This would be great for bike packing or camping, or if you're traveling with little kids and you have to fill up their bottles. So for me, mountain biking, these are too big and heavy. They're a deal breaker, but for a general purpose water filter, I think it's a lot better than those little bagged ones because every 3-4 months, I'm breaking one and buying a new one. So the price doesn't bother me that much. And I think these are actually really well suited to somebody who's doing bike packing or camping because the actual cup becomes something that you can use. You can fill other things with it. Just a water filter that you can buy and keep for a very long time. So I have here 2 water samples that were run through the Grail filter. One of them is from some bougie bottled water, and the other one was from someplace gnarly. I can't see them, and I don't know which one is which, but I'm gonna give you a rating of each one. I'm not gonna pretend I can tell the difference. They both taste like water. So as you know, I've been staying in Bentonville, but I don't have an office where I'm staying, and so I've been working here, and I realized it's kind of a bike product, so I'm gonna show you. So this place is called Ledger, and it's a co-working space. I've been to tons of co-working spaces. They're all nice, but this one's really, really nice. So the first floor is completely free to the public. Anybody can walk in here, buy a coffee and work. But if you're a member, like I am, you can go upstairs and you can work. So this is where I've been working. I come here and find an open desk and I work here. But that's not what makes it a bike product. That's downstairs. And this is where it starts to get interesting. The bike lockup room. So I did ride my bike here this morning and it's right here, the big dummy. I keep my whole backpack and laptop and everything in it. And it's secure in here. I've got lockers, there are changing rooms everywhere, there are showers upstairs, but that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is all of these e-bikes, which are just included with your membership. You scan this QR code, you put in your name, and you can just take them out. And no, they're not like commuter e-bikes, they're mountain bikes. S-Works mountain bikes. And if you need to take a call, you can do it in one of these. Yep. So you can ride your bike here, take a shower, take out an S-Works e-bike, come back and actually get work done. That's about as Bentonville as it gets. But that's not even the craziest part. No, the crazy part is you can ride your bike to the top of this building. In fact, according to Ledger, this is the only bikeable building in the United States. There are parking garages, but some of them don't allow bikes, and this one is way nicer. It's truly a great water bottle, but I feel like it might be too affordable. As the human race advances and we enjoy new technologies, we now have the ability to make $40 bike water bottles. We used to only have the technology to make them $10, but these are $40 and they might actually be worth it. Let's start with the Bevo. This is a stainless steel 21-ounce water bottle. It's not insulated. I like that because it holds more water. And it has more benefits than you might think. First of all, the finish on the water bottle is actually pretty grippy, and so it stays in the cage better, but it's still easier to pull out. And it has a straw. This doesn't work at all. I was actually using it wrong. I thought this was so you could sip it right side up. Got a whole lungful of air and water doing that. This is actually to let air back into the bottle so you can drink from it faster, and it works. Plastic water bottle, you gotta squeeze when you're chugging from it. This one, you just sip away and just blasts high pressure water into your esophagus. But there are some other benefits as well. For example, the mouthpiece is just way better quality. I've had these come out on a ride and it can really put a damper in the fun. And so it's nice that there's sort of a premium non-throwaway option that you can keep for a long time. Now, the other one, the Speed Flask by Speedfill. This whole top pops open and you can just... Now, these are actually quite popular. I really like this. It's nothing like a bike water bottle. It's more like a thermos that fits in a bike water bottle cage. You can see here, it pops open. It's got a nice big opening. The cap screws off. No straw or anything, but this is insulated. And so if you ride in extreme weather, or maybe you're a commuter, you want to bring your coffee to work, this transitions from the bicycle to the office pretty nicely. And for that matter, if you're doing some other activity like hiking, has a little handle that you can hold it by. There are not a lot of products like this. On Amazon, they have water bottles that are advertised as bike water bottles, and then they don't have the little indent. And so you just hit a bump and it flies out onto the road or the trail. And so I'm happy somebody makes this, especially a reputable company like Speedfill. I actually have been using it quite a bit, and I can say enjoyable bottle to use. Now, before we move on, we should weigh these in comparison to a plastic water bottle. Plastic water bottle weighs 73 grams. Let's weigh the Bevo, which would be the closest comparison to this. 156 grams. And the Speedfill, which we can't really compare because it's big, it's got a giant plastic cap, 320 grams. So add to the weight of the water, the weight of these heftier bottles, but like I said, they have some benefits that you can't get with a plastic one. Plus, you get to spend an extra $30. This is the Little Big Bike. It costs $250, and I've been using it heavily. So the Little Big Bike actually doesn't come like this. This is its final form, highest power level. But actually, when you first get it, it starts off as a 14-inch balance bike that a 2.5-year-old could kick around. And then as they grow a little bit bigger, you flip the chainstay over and it becomes a bigger balance bike that they can kick around. And then once they're ready for a pedal bike, you buy the pedal kit, which is $70. You install this crankset, you screw a freewheel on, and it is a pedal bike in just a few minutes. Now, I started using it because I like to kick around with my daughter and just make her feel like we're both doing an activity together. But also, kids have come over here, like 5, 6-year-olds that ride pedal bikes, and now all of a sudden I have one. I just throw the crank kit in there and it's a pedal bike. When it becomes a pedal bike, it's actually a pretty good one. You can see this is a simple frame. It's not that heavy a bicycle for a kid's bike. It's got big fat tires. It's definitely in the mountain bike category. It has front and rear brakes. It has these little levers that are very easy to squeeze. You can see I upgraded them with sticky fingers. These are made in Ireland, and I guess they lean into it. It's got a green paint job, a shamrock on the back. And the cranks are nice and short. Everything's really well thought out, internal cable routing. And of course, the biggest benefit to this is you don't have to buy a whole bunch of stuff. This thing can be adjusted in all sorts of ways. It can be a little balance bike, a big balance bike, a big pedal bike. There are just not a lot of other products like it, and they happen to have implemented it well, and so I give it high marks all around. These are the Redshift arc light pedals. They're 160 bucks, and they've got lights in them. Pretty cool. Now, why do they change colors like that? Well, these lights are always gonna show the front of the pedal as white and the rear of the pedal as red. So if you're riding outside at night, cars can tell whether you're coming or going. They can see you from far away. These are pretty bright, and they're in a pretty good spot. I think pedals are good because they move around. They're very visible. So one thing that's pretty cool about these, they're completely hands-off. If you just put the bike down on the ground and leave it there, they time out and turn off, and then when you pick it back up again, it senses them move and they turn on. And yes, you could use these for mountain biking. These are like mountain bike platform pedals. Sometimes there's part of your ride where you're out on the road, you finish up late and it's starting to get dark out. These would certainly make me feel a little bit safer, but also if you're a commuter, these are really good pedals. And one thing I like about them is that the charging experience is very easy. You're not like pulling your bicycle up to a USB cable. You're just popping these out magnetically and plugging them into a USB port. These ends right here are actually USB. Now, when I reviewed these at Sea Otter, some people had some concerns about these USB ports and them popping out. That doesn't seem to be the case with people that have these. These are very popular. When you charge these, you don't have to worry where in the pedal you put it. It figures itself out no matter what. They're just intelligent. I don't think there's that much more to say about the ArcLight Redshift pedals. They're pedals with lights. They're not the cheapest, but like I said, they're pretty premium and they give you a few features in one. I think they're pretty cool, and I'm glad they exist. This is the Fox Overland tailgate pad. It's on sale right now for 110 bucks, and I never thought I would be standing here talking about a split tailgate pad because they cost the same as one that covers your entire tailgate, but they hold a fraction of the bikes. This only holds 2 bikes. Nevertheless, I'm really happy with it. This is not coming off my truck. Now, the reason I got this is because this tailgate has kind of a curve to it and it was hard to get a full tailgate pad to fit right. And so I tried this out. It makes it so I can access my tailgate release, my backup camera, both my reverse lights are visible. These would all be kind of at least partially covered, even if I used a good full tailgate pad with one of those openings in it. The other thing I realized is that it's very rare I carry more than 2 bikes. I do sometimes, and I can put an extra couple inside the bed, but for the vast majority of people, 2 bikes is all you're gonna need. You don't have this big thing covering your entire tailgate, making it hard to access everything, making it hard for your 360 camera or backup camera to work. And for what it's worth, I think it looks nicer. Now, one thing I've noticed on split tailgate pads is the tire on the bike that's right here still hits into the tailgate. Fox has remedied that. This little flap here will actually protect your tailgate, and you can see there's another little buckle over here. You can actually unbuckle this and secure the front wheel so that it doesn't move around and it keeps the flap in place so it doesn't touch the tailgate. So at the end of the day, the entire purpose of split tailgate pads is so that all your sensors and buttons and lights and cameras are all accessible at the back of the tailgate. And there's always gonna be the guy that says, "Yeah, boy, a real man back up a pickup truck without them fancy cameras. I run over children, cats, dogs." And yeah, the bar for becoming a man just keeps going lower and lower and lower. I personally don't want to pay for a feature and then pay for something else to cover it up. It's kind of nice to pay for something that leaves it accessible. This is the Kid Fusion driveway guard for $145 on Amazon. It has 4 stars. So first of all, it might be pronounced Kid Cushion, but they spelled it Fusion, and it does what it says. It's a driveway guard. It's this net that you can stretch across your driveway. I happen to have a really steep hill that goes down for like 1/8 of a mile over here. Not fun for toddlers. And a lot of people just have a driveway that goes into the street. You want to keep balls, balance bikes, everything inside the driveway. Now, I think it's more of a deterrent. It's a visual aid. Stay away from here. And I think if a kid did go straight into this, it would probably get tangled up in their front wheel and they would go over the handlebars. And that might be better than them going in traffic. Now, why does it have 4 stars on Amazon? Why not 5 stars? Well, I don't think it's the price. I think $145 is a very fair price for something like this, but it's not perfect. So first of all, they include these little PVC pipes that you're supposed to hammer into the ground to give this thing a spot to sit into. And the ones they include are like this long. And so once this thing gets tugged on a little bit, they're angling inwards because you hammered it into some dirt in your lawn. And so I'm gonna go back to the hardware store and redo this. Otherwise, I really like it. The other downside is it kind of doesn't look the greatest. Now, that doesn't really matter that much because you can collapse it and bring this thing inside, but this isn't something that I'd want out on my driveway all the time. My wife probably wouldn't like it. The other complaint I have, kind of trivial, it's kind of hard to see. When I'm coming up my driveway and this thing is closed, I don't see it until the last second. And so you could get some bright spray paint and put some marks on it, probably make it look even better. All in all, it does the job as a deterrent, as a last line of defense, a way to keep toys in the driveway. And as a father who has a lot of balance bikes moving around his driveway, I definitely would rather have this than not. This is the Anomaly Switch Grade. It costs $245, and I don't know that I have a bike that this will fit on. I'm gonna try my gravel bike. That is freaking cool. This has 3 different positions. Here you can see the saddle is forwards, here it's level, and then here it's back a little bit. It's actually not recommended for this application right here. It fits a variety of dropper posts, none of which I own, but they're very popular ones. I just so happen to have wireless dropper posts on all my bikes. This allows you to get a little bit more drop out of your seat post by moving the nose of the saddle out of the way so you can duck lower into your bike. It also allows you to change the angle of the seat. So if you're climbing something really steep, it would actually feel better if the seat was like this. And if you were descending or pedaling around on flat ground, it'd feel a lot better if it was like this. The installation is a little bit of a learning curve, but I would imagine it's easier if you have a seat post that's compatible with it. I know on a lot of frames, even with the dropper post down all the way, there's tons of space between your top tube and the nose of your saddle, and I, for one, would love to have a little bit more drop. Now, my one criticism of this would be the price. I mean, $245 is a dropper post. That's a lot of money for this little feature right here. But then again, if I really needed this, if this fit one of my seat posts, I might find myself using it enough to justify that cost. I mean, there's nothing else like it to my knowledge, and it is made really well. It's as nice as any seat post you're gonna install it on, and it doesn't actually add any height to your seat post. It replaces the seat clamp that's already there and integrates. Now, as I said, I was able to get this to fit on my gravel bike. I don't know if it's recommended for the seat post, but I could see if I was doing something janky on my gravel bike, I could tilt this forwards and get it out of my way and not commit to a big heavy dropper post. I think it's a little pricey, but if you need it, that's the only place you're gonna get it. This thing won awards apparently. Let's see what it is. This is a tubeless tire inflator from Milk It. Tubeless bike tires, just like automotive tires, need to be seated onto a rim to make an airtight seal. And you can do it with a floor pump, but it's a lot easier with an air compressor. Problem is, not everybody has an air compressor. Some people are living out of a van, so they make these. There are other products like it. You pump it up with a bunch of air, and then in one blast, you can fill that tire up and form the seal. So let's test this and see if it works, and then figure out if it's any different than competing products. So they want me to inflate this to 160 PSI. I hope that doesn't take much work. Okay, that didn't take much work with this nice big floor pump, but then again, I could have seated the tubeless tire with this nice big floor pump, but let's test this. Remove valve core for maximum airflow, optional. Press booster on valve and boost. It's in capitals with an exclamation point, that's what it says. Oh, that didn't seat my tubeless tire. Yeah, I don't think so. It got it on the bead over here, but not over here. Let's try it again. This feels just great on my shoulder. No, it didn't totally seat it. Now, I'm not being entirely fair to this, because if I were seating this with a floor pump, I would actually take the tire and kind of get it onto the bead as much as I can. So let me try doing that the same way that I would with a floor pump. I could have seated this with a floor pump 3 times now. So this time I'm gonna kind of pull the bead on as much as I can in preparation. All right, let's give it one more shot. Close, but still hasn't seated. Let me see if it's just me. Let me see if I can do it with a floor pump. We're just gonna hear the pop. Oh. Ugh. I'm dehydrated. Okay, so this was a stubborn one, but I got it seated eventually with the floor pump. Why? Well, when I'm using the floor pump, I can hear where the air is coming out, and then I can work on the tire a little bit and go back to the floor pump. With this, you have to have everything set up in one shot. I think if you have a stubborn tire and maybe not the biggest floor pump, you're in a van, this could help you blast most tires onto the rim, especially one that's not as stubborn as this one, but those usually work just fine with a floor pump. Now, I'm not knocking this product. It's definitely gonna be for some people, and it looks like it has one other feature that makes it a little bit different than competing products. For what it's worth, you can use this as a water bottle. Kind of makes me feel like you could also put this on a water bottle, I don't know. That certainly makes it useful when you're not using it. If you live out of a van, if you're backpacking, this might be able to save you. For the price, $65. They're definitely making a hefty profit on this thing. It's definitely for some people, and the fact that you can use it as a water bottle is kind of nice. And the fact that the price is actually in line with competing products with this extra feature makes it interesting, but I'm being honest, it's not for me. All right, what do we got next? A Robert axle. I've been using these for years. I love them, and it's just about time I feature one and show you what it is. It is a through axle with a little nut on the end. Why would you need that? Well, you get yourself a bike trailer, a kid trailer, and it comes with one of these little receiver guys. How do you put this on the bike? Well, you take the nut off the rear axle and you bolt it on, except if you have a mountain bike or a gravel bike or pretty much anything but a department store commuter bike, that part isn't on the bike. And so these are kid trailer adapters or utility trailer adapters. You can take your through axle out, put this in, and you can bolt one of these on. I have one on my gravel bike. I plan to put some of them on my mountain bikes. It gives me another option. It's super useful, super simple, and the quality of the axle is great. I've bought several of these for several different bikes and I like them, and so I wanted to pass the information on to you. Okay.
It was Oscar.
Oscar, come here. Come on, Oscar, hop in with your little sister. He's like, help, help. Inside of this bag is something extraordinary. But first, I'm gonna show you the bag. This bag was sent to me ages ago and it just sat there. I never reviewed it. And then last week I started using it because my shoulder's messed up. So I've been gravel riding and it fits perfectly on my gravel bike. I actually loved this bag. The build quality is superb. It's made by this little homebrew company on Etsy and it's not even that expensive. I think it's like 40 or 45 bucks, which in the bougie bag category is really, really fair. It's built out of really sturdy fabric. It's got water resistant zippers and it's really functional. I carry all sorts of stuff in it. My one complaint is that the zippers, they kind of rattle around. Now, I only hear it when I'm going kind of moderate speed on some gravel. If I'm going really fast, there are other things making noise, and so I don't notice it, but it's worth noting. But next, I want to show you what I've been carrying inside of it. What the heck's this? Now, you might have seen this before, the Hover X1. A lot of YouTubers have been reviewing this because Hover's been paying them to. I bought this because I thought it was kind of cool and I wanted to say whatever I wanted to say about it. This is not a drone. This is a self-flying camera. I still call it a drone, but it doesn't have a controller, doesn't give you airport warnings, just none of the hassle. You just turn it on and start using it. Let me show you. And that's all there is to it. All right, let's start with the good. it does follow you, as you can see. It'll even follow you with some trees and stuff around. Sometimes it hits into a tree, and then it just plops onto the ground. You pick it up and use it again. I have not broken it, and it's got some battle scars on it, but nothing serious.
Please pay attention.
You pay attention. It is super lightweight and compact. You can just fold it up. It's lighter than a cell phone, and you can put it in your bike bag. You can even probably fit it in a jacket pocket. If you're an adventurer who likes to relive their experiences, share their experiences, this thing is pretty sick. It's also really simple. I avoid using a drone sometimes because I gotta boot it up and I gotta get the controller working, and then I gotta go through all these warnings and update notifications. This thing you just turn on and use. It's also really fun. My kids love it. It doesn't have any SD cards. You just use an app to get the footage, and the app is actually quite good. So now for the downsides. The video quality, well, it's okay. It's not even really up to par with the best cell phone cameras. And so as a professional, sometimes I can sneak in a shot here and there, and I have, you might have noticed. The other part is the price. This is $369 in its base configuration, and you can get a DJI Mini for less than that, and that thing looks way better, but they're not the same thing. The DJI Mini has all the downsides of a drone. But despite these downsides, I'm actually really happy with my purchase. I've been using this a ton. If the light is good, if everything works out, I can use a shot, and I can get shots that I would have otherwise not had because it's just so easy to use. I don't avoid it, and it can come around with me. And if you're just using Instagram and sharing things with your friends and family, this is kind of amazing. It can follow you from behind. It can lead in front of you, go next to you. You can just set it to orbit you and get a shot. It's pretty extraordinary, and I can't wait for a version that shoots in 4K, maybe with a slightly better camera. So that is a cool thing to use on your ride. Something that's not cool to use on your ride, first aid kit, a helivac, or one of these guys. I reviewed this a long time ago, and it has actually become one of my favorite things, and the company sent me something else today. Forgive me if this is a super common thing among campers and backpackers. I have never seen compressed paper towel tablets in my entire life, and so you're gonna witness the first time I ever discover one. I guess it says here just to add water. I don't know, it looks like it would taste minty actually. So, okay, little puck. Let's drop it into the water and see what happens. Am I not supposed to be amazed by that? It's actually a pretty sturdy paper towel too. Feels kind of nice. This is awesome. It works even better with just like a little drop of water, because now the paper towel's not like soaking, it's just like damp. Oh my God. I don't know why I'm so amazed by this. Now they give you 10 of them per pack, and so I don't know, for me, one pack would last a really long time. It's also consumable. You could carry around a rag and just get it wet. Of course, these are always clean. Things that are disposable like that, I try to avoid. It is 100% cotton, so yeah, it's about the environmental impact of a Cliff Bar. But to keep around for an emergency and use every once in a while, this is pretty incredible, and it is sturdy. How much does this cost? $20 for 5 of them. Okay, so it's $4 per pack, and then you get 10 of these. So what does that cost per paper towel? Okay, you're only talking cents. Still a lot cheaper to just rip off a paper towel, crumple it up, and jam it into your bag. But this is pretty elegant. You could put this in your handlebar, your seat tube. You could put it in your backpack, leave them in your glove box. I'm not gonna lie, as a dad with kids whose faces get all messed up and carrying around packs of wipes, I'm gonna leave some of these in my car. Not bad. Next up, we've got some integrated tools from Crank Brothers. I wasn't sure if these were just cool looking or actually useful, and then I took this one with me to Texas, and I actually used it. This is the BC18. BC stands for bottle cage, and it's a water bottle cage and everything you need for your ride. So you install it on the bike, and over here, there's a canister, and in the canister, you have a multi-tool. And the multi-tool has everything you expect, from wrenches to a chain tool, and it even has a tire inflator on the end of it. And inside the cap, there are actually tire plugs. Then on the other side of the bottle cage, you can store a CO2 or a pump. And so you pretty much have everything you need. But also inside the bottle cage, they give you a tire lever, a really stiff and stout tire lever, not the multi-tool kind. And on the other side of the tire lever is a plug fork and an extra plug. And so you have plugs here, you have plug here, and then you have a fork to install it. Now this is one of the most complete and robust solutions that I've seen, and so I really like it. But I do have one criticism, having used it to repair a tire. This plug fork is actually really big. And so I had a tiny hole in my tire that I needed to plug, and it took a lot to push this into it, but I did get it repaired and it did work. It was nice not being stranded out in the woods on Station Mountain. Now it's worth noting, they expect you to put a CO2 over here, but since I was on an airplane, I couldn't bring CO2, and so I had this little hand pump in there. I hope to never use this, but I did that day. I pumped up my entire tire with this hand pump, and it worked well enough, and the bottle cage held onto it very nicely on my enduro bike. So I'm fairly impressed with this bottle cage tool. Now this one is a little bit different. This is the TT17, and you need to have an accessory mount to use this. So either another spot for a bottle cage in your bike, or two little bolts underneath the frame, somewhere where you can mount this. Now, the advantage that this gives you is the quickest access to a multi-tool that I've ever seen on any bike. You just push the button and it pops out. And on the other side, the CO2 just pops out. And it has every single feature of the other tool, including a really nice tire lever. But again, this isn't gonna be for everybody because you have to have an accessory mount in order for it to work. Now, as you might imagine, these are not cheap at all. I think each of them are about 100, 120 bucks. And that's about in line with other integrated tools. Like by the time you get a 1-up EDC installed on your bike or any of the other ones out there, you're in for about $120 or more. And so you can always just throw some supplies in your jersey pocket for 40 bucks and get the same exact result. But if you like something really slick, you like being prepared, and you like everything integrated, these are really cool. I am running this on my cross-country bike, and I'm definitely running this on my enduro bike for sure. Check this thing out, and this thing, and this thing, which is insane. I've got a whole medley of mountain bike products for you today, starting with this bicycle hanging above my head. This is the Cradle bicycle lift, and you mount it to your garage ceiling so you can get bikes up off the floor. And in the marketing pictures, you can see all the bikes are nicely lined up next to each other. In real life, they kind of spin around in circles. Now, it's worth noting that the bike will not spin if your ceiling's exactly the right height, where the cradle can actually lock into place. But in my case, I can only do that if I hang bikes vertically like this. Actually kind of slick. With that said, the thing works. My ceilings in this garage are 13.5 feet tall. I did have to put a little chain on the end of the release cord so I could reach it, and I wish the bicycle came down a little bit lower, but it easily picks up my 25-pound hardtail. Now you have to buy the version that's closest to the weight of your bike. This one is for 25-pound bicycles, and the one I have installed is for 40-pound bicycles. And so there's a serious recoil when I release mine. It's a little bit tricky. To get your bike down, you just grab onto the crank arm and pull. I've got to pull pretty hard on this one because it's the 40-pound version, and this bike is pretty light. Nevertheless, if I want to make it go back up, I just pull on the release, and the bike goes up. It goes up as high as you want it, and then you can kind of lock it into place. What's also interesting is the little release they designed to hold the bike there. So because my ceilings are so high, I can't really get the bike all the way to the floor, but I just lift up on it a little bit, and this thing comes off quite easily. You can see there's a little rubber strap and a release, and you just put the strap back around on itself, and nothing is touching your bike except for this nice little soft rubber piece. A single unit is $160. I think we're used to a price like that for something like this that's sold in small quantities. They do sell 2 and 3 packs of these so you can hang multiple bikes, but pretty much any solution like a hook or a bar is gonna cost way less than one of these to hang 5 or 6 bikes. But all in all, this is a pretty unique solution. It does work. It appears to be built well, and so if you want to hang your bikes from your ceiling like that, here it is. This is a typical chest harness for an action camera, and as you can see, it looks kind of dorky, like you have huge suspenders on or something like that, and that might not matter to you if you're just at a bike park having fun with your friends, but sometimes it does, and there are other problems with action camera harnesses, like, I don't know, the difficulty of removing the camera. It's not that bad, but it's not that intuitive either. And so this is a magnetic action camera harness that you can put on underneath your shirt. So I have it installed outside my shirt to demonstrate it. Your action camera gets attached to this plate over here, and you can see the outline of these 4 magnets over here just slaps right into place, and it's strong. This is not coming off unless you purposely pull it or you get into some kind of a crash. And because it's magnetic, it'll work through your shirt. Now, I like this for several reasons. First of all, it's just an easier way to remove and reattach your action camera. I mean, you just pull on it and then it kind of self-aligns onto these magnets. That's pretty nice. But also, you can't see the harness on me anywhere, and because I'm a content creator by trade, I kind of think about these things. If you're watching a movie and you see the shadow of a boom mic or the reflection of a camera in somebody's sunglasses, it kind of pulls you out of the moment. Now, there's no secret that I have an action camera on here, but when you can hide the nuts and bolts of the operation, it's kind of good. And I think the same goes for when you're sharing memories or reliving memories. Having a big harness on just, I don't know, there's just something not memorable or enchanting about it. Another nice feature, I would never run an action camera like this because as soon as I lean over to hold onto the handlebars, it's gonna point down on my top tube, and so I would turn it upside down. And you can remove this part, and again, guides itself in magnetically, and then you can adjust it upside down to get the right angle. So my thoughts on this, for $27, there's not much to complain about here. It's made by Shorewo, and so we can be pretty sure that somebody else came up with this concept first and they copied it. I hope there is a better one out there because these straps do not feel very comfortable on my bare skin. And that's important because I think a lot of people would be getting this to wear under their shirt. Now, with that said, the chest strap over your shirt isn't really that comfortable either, and so we might be splitting hairs here. With that said, I'm going to be using this. I think it is really useful for video creation when you want to hide the harness, and it's really easy to get the camera on and off, which is nice because sometimes I like to get a shot talking to the camera, and I don't want to have a camera on my chest, and then other times I need to get a first-person shot. So it is very flexible in that way, and I'd say it's definitely worth $27. Oh. Here are leashes for your AirPods that attach to your helmet. Very clever. These were sent to me by a subscriber whose company is called Voidmine. Very timely. And yeah, they attach to any AirPod and clip to your helmet strap. Earbud leashes are not a new thing, but I can't say that I've seen one that's specially designed for a helmet strap. You can see the clip is kind of flat and it just fits over it with pressure. It seems to be secure enough. I don't see how these would ever fall off. Now, if I were mountain biking with these and the AirPod was not in my ear, I could see how it would be kind of dangling and hitting against my cheek, and that could get kind of annoying, but I guess these are designed for people who are actually gonna have their earbuds in and use them. I generally don't on rides. I have a pair of sunglasses that have open air speakers in them, and if I'm gonna listen to a podcast or something on a climb, I prefer to do it that way because I don't want something that is plugging up my ear and distracting me. You can go with the one in the ear, but like I said, when you get to the top of your climb and you wanna start going downhill, yeah, you either have your earbuds in or you have them kind of hitting into your face, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. And so it is kind of nice then that they're pretty easy to remove. You can just pull it off the strap and throw it into your pocket or your bag or back into your AirPod case and not have it dangling and hitting into your face. So I can see these being good for commuters or mountain bikers, gravel riders, anybody that wants to have an earbud in their ear while they're riding but doesn't want to drop it. If you drop an earbud while you're riding your bike, good luck finding it. I would give you about a 50% shot. Now these are 15 Australian dollars, which would make it like 10 US dollars, I think. That's kind of what you would expect for something like this. It's made by a small company. It's a one-off product. I don't see how they could get it lower than that. I'm sure the $3 Amazon version that leaves like chemical burns on the side of your face is coming soon, or you could support viewers of this channel and get this one. This is the Topeak tune-up station, and it's kind of like a parking spot for your bike, for inside your house or a nice garage, somewhere you don't want to put hooks on the wall or screw a lift into the ceiling. And it takes into account things that are common on modern bikes, electronics. You've got your bike lights, your access batteries, maybe you have an e-bike and you need to charge that. This kind of gives you a docking station for all that, a way to make the wires not so messy, and a place to put a few tools and actually work on your bike. Yes, this is also a work stand that attaches to your chainstay and your seat stay. Yeah, to my disbelief, this actually holds the bike quite securely, and you can cycle the drivetrain and everything. Comes on and off super easily, holds the bike up straight, the wheel doesn't move around. What more could you ask for? And there are accessories for it, like this tool tray here, where you can hold some wrenches and extra stuff to work on your bike. Now, it kind of looks like the base of a patio umbrella, but it's really well thought out. These are actually held closed with magnets. And then when you slide them open, you can see there's a divider in the middle with little notches so you can run wires through and keep everything nice and tidy. So you can put all your chargers and your wires towards the back, and then you can put tools and accessories and electronics in the front just to keep them out of sight. That's why I think this is kind of more geared towards a home or maybe a sunroom or something like that. Someplace you would store a bike, but that you want to keep presentable. I mean, if all this stuff was out of this box, it would be a big mess and tangle of wires that kids could get to and dogs could get to, and it just wouldn't look all that great. Now, the base is plastic, but it is quite stable, and the thing goes together really easy. It works. Now, the Topeak tune-up station is $129. In 2024, that's the new $99. I think that's a pretty fair price for it. Even for what it is, which is a plastic piece with a bar sticking up. I believe this is separate, and so you're gonna be spending, I don't know, $170 on this thing. That sounds a little steep, but for what it does and how kind of neat it makes your room, I think it might be worth it for a lot of people. I'm actually kind of excited to use it, except my wife makes me keep all the bicycles in the garage. Now, while I was on Topeak's website, I saw the Torque Rocket Mini DX. It's an eye-watering $160, so I had to see why that was. Basically, it's a mini torque wrench that comes in a ballistic nylon pouch. Seems kind of crazy for that price, but it happens to be very nice. I mean, the thing is super refined. It's a very nice little torque wrench. It's like a miniature version of a full-size torque wrench. But nice or not, for $160, you could buy two really nice mini torque wrenches. Like this one right here. All the bits are inside of it. You can set the torque right here, and it basically does all the same sizes as this. And so what are we really getting here, and why is it $160? Well, first you're getting this ballistic nylon pouch. For what it's worth, it's pretty nice. It's got these magnetic latches over here. You open it up, and then everything's held into place. Now, there is the driver itself, which is ratcheting and reversing, and then there's a magnetic bit holder, which is quite nice. You adjust the torque by turning this just like you would on a standard torque wrench, and then it actually clicks just like a full-size torque wrench. So it's not some mini bendy torque wrench. This is like a real torque wrench, and so it's probably pretty accurate. Then you have all your bits, which you have 2mm all the way through 6. It does not go to 8. Then you have some Torx bits and even a PH2. Then over here you have a bit extender, which is a very nice bit extender. It had better be. Then they give you just a normal little ratchet for working on your bike. And so this is kind of like a multi-tool with just wrenches. You could even put the bit into the end of this and use it kind of like a screwdriver. I mean, it's pretty flexible. It's also worth noting this gives you pretty granular control. 1 Newton meter or 6 Newton meters, you can go between any of those numbers. You can do 4.5 or 5.5, 1.5, pretty nice. But the thing is, I've reviewed a lot of tools like this where all the bits are separate, and what I don't like about it is this is meant to be a portable kit that you take with you, and there's all this kind of stuff that you can lose. You lose one of these bits, you gotta go chase down one of these bits to make your kit complete again. Now, the other problem is it's a mini torque wrench, and so you can basically do what? Seat post clamps, handlebars, maybe handlebar clamps. You can't do crank sets, you can't do through axles, you can't do SRAM transmission. There are a whole bunch of things that you can't do with your $160 torque wrench. I don't really know how I feel about that. And so I thought to myself, now that I have this overpriced torque wrench to review in this video, what am I gonna do with it? I'm gonna use it. This is coming with me all the time. This freaking thing is nice as heck. I don't know what would possess me to actually spend the money on it and order it for myself, but now that I have it, all I wanna do is use it. And so for that reason, it makes a really good gift. If you get this for any cyclist who works on their bike, they're gonna think it's nice, they're gonna use it, and you will have gotten them a gift that they wouldn't have gotten for themselves. That's the best kind of gift. And so I think this is a good thing to put on your holiday list for people you know. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can access a torque wrench for less than $160. And in my opinion, some more convenient ways than having all these little tiny bits in this kit. But it is just so incredibly nice. Every single thing about it is so, like, I just want to like, I wish there was like a candy version of this so I could eat it. Like, yeah, definitely an emotional purchase more than a logical one. Now, speaking of miniature tools, this next product is absolutely mind-blowing. I might make a fool out of myself because all of you already know about this already, but this thing can remove a cassette from a bicycle, just this. Now, that's amazing because a cassette, which is that gear on the back of your bicycle, it's held on with a lock ring, and if you try and turn that lock ring, the whole cassette moves. And so you need some kind of cassette tool with some leverage, and then you also need cassette pliers or a chain whip to keep the cassette from spinning when you're working on it. This tool does it, just this tool. So you're out in the woods and you need to remove your cassette. That's the entire reason the Stein tool exists for people who do a lot of touring or bike packing. They bring a smaller subset of their tools, and there's certain things that are kind of off the table. And so a repair like a flat tire or a loose bolt, you can just do with your multi-tool. And for anything else, you gotta somehow get your bike back into town and go to a bike shop. Now you can carry around a cassette tool that doesn't add a whole bunch of weight to your pack. So how does it work? How are we gonna turn this thing? Well, first you gotta remove the rear wheel. Now, once we have the rear wheel off, you have access to the lock ring on your cassette. And if you look at this Stein tool, it does have a little machined cassette pattern there, so we can stick it over here and lock it into place. So here's where things get interesting. You're gonna reinstall the wheel on the bike with the Stein tool in place. And then there's this little nub on it that you're supposed to kind of position behind the derailleur. Not the easiest thing, but you're making a compromise here to save weight. Insert the rear axle now. So it's installed. Now, we're supposed to be able to crack this lock ring loose by pedaling the bike. So we're gonna try that. That's why I left it in a low gear. I figured it would give me a little bit more leverage, but we're about to find out in a second. I think we cracked it loose. So we have our rear wheel free right now. Okay, let's check it out. Yes, oh my God, we have our lock ring off. I mean, that's pretty ingenious. And so now, how do you get the cassette back on? How do you tighten that lock ring? Grab the wheel and slowly turn the wheel backwards. So you can actually tighten it back on by pulling the wheel backwards manually with your hand. I think I feel it tightening back on. Like, you see it how it's indexed? Just like when you turn it with the wrench. Okay, I'd say that's enough torque. Okay, so let's take the axle back out. Yeah, our cassette is like way on there. That is just brilliant. Okay, so I'm quite impressed with this thing. I got it on eBay for $40. It looks like they're made in pretty small quantities. That was before I realized that Junior sells one for like $8. I don't know which one came first, but these are talked about on message boards and in forums all the time. I'm just amazed at how well it works. It does everything it says it does. If you want to have a really, really small subset of tools and you don't want to carry around a big chain whip and a cassette wrench, this thing can get you out of a jam. Now, I have seen people say that you can't remove SRAM cassettes with this because they kind of move out as you loosen it. I could see that being a problem. These are gonna be mostly for people who are doing touring and things like that, and so they might not have as much SRAM as we do on mountain bikes, but that's still gonna be a pretty common problem. Also, this thing can actually scratch your frame on the inside of the dropout there, and so they include these little shims over here that you can put in between the Stein tool and the frame to stop it from scratching it. I didn't really care, and so I did it without, and it didn't scratch my frame, and so maybe I lucked out. Now, whether or not I end up needing this, I'm gonna keep it in my toolkit when I'm traveling because it's there and it weighs next to nothing. I mean, it's just, there's not much more to say about it besides I can't believe this exists, I can't believe how well it works, and I can't believe how easy it is to use. These are the freeze grips, and I'm honestly struggling to figure out what the deal is with them. It looks like they're just grips, but with a retro vibe. It seems like the main advantage to these freeze grips is that you can install them without tools, as if that was a major barrier to lock on grips. So the way this works is, you clean up your handlebars, you wrap one of these around it, then you install your lock ring and push this cool retro looking transparent grip on. Not the easiest. And now we're gonna screw this on so it's twist on. Okay. I mean, yeah, it appears to still move. Let's install the other side and see if it still moves. Got our lock ring, the sleeve, and now our artwork. Get this on, and then this should screw on. Make sure we're not cross-threading it. Let's do this by the book. It's tool-free, but it's not easier. Okay, this is moving a lot. Want to really make sure we get it tightened all the way down. You know what? Maybe it's just me. I can't get these to stay firm on my bars. I will say these are extremely cool looking, especially if you got a color scheme for the insert that matched your bike, but even a normal rubber grip with no clamp, or maybe a clamp with a 2.5 millimeter hex. I don't think this clamping system works. If you guys have had a different experience with them, let me know, but I'm not even gonna trail test them. I hope this is not gonna be one of those days. I want some good products today. Let's take a look at this one. This is sent over from a subscriber. It's a wooden jigsaw puzzle in the theme of mountain biking. Let's take a look at it. 272 piece jigsaw puzzle. This shouldn't take very long at all. This is freaking cool. All throughout my life, I mean, I've had a million jigsaw puzzles and they were always cardboard. This is cool. What's cool is they're not just random jigsaw puzzle shapes. This is a front chain ring. This is a full face helmet. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I'm not gonna sit here and put this together today, but we're definitely gonna put it at the ranger station so that if it's raining out, our guests have something to do. I have never seen a jigsaw puzzle of this quality. Glad we're kicking it back off on a good review. For the next product, $60 dropper seat post. The Kind Shock Exaform. Looking around for just the cheapest dropper seat post I can find. This is it. It looks pretty cheap, but not bad. So here's how this works. So first of all, a dropper seat post is a mountain bike seat post that you can raise and lower while you're riding the bike. So instead of getting off your bike and adjusting it, you can do it on the fly. That way you can drop it and hit jumps, raise it back up and climb. This one does it, not with a switch up at the handlebars, but a switch in the front. I'm gonna install it on the Kent Travail and give it a test. I think it's just Kent Travail issues here. Do I have any other bikes that are a 30.9? This is a 30.4. Yeah. What about the Murder Machine? What does that take? So, new development. I got this shimmed up so we can test it in my hardtail. As you can see here, there's this lever in the front. That is what you pull to make the seat go up and down, and it looks like you could do it with the bike riding. You kind of just gotta reach down in front of you and just yank on it. So let's give it a shot. I get that it's $60, but we have to ask ourselves, is this something that you really need? So first of all, you would have to be riding on something really flat and smooth in order to do this, because you have to ride with one hand. If you ever tried riding with one hand over technical terrain, It's next to impossible. Secondly, you have to be doing it for a long time because this thing is slow. I'm like maybe 160 pounds. I'm sitting on this thing and pulling up on it. So I'm riding down the trail like this, which doesn't look good. And it's for like a while. Okay, so you can do it while you're on your bike. I'll give it that, but you're not gonna be wanting to use this thing over and over. I would say at $60, you don't have to save up that much more to get like a PNW dropper post where you have a lever up front here. Also, the insertion depth is really, really long, and on a lot of full suspension bikes, especially small ones, that's gonna present a problem. And it's only 60 bucks, but this isn't gonna make you fall in love with dropper seat posts. This is not the dropper seat post that you need. Yeah, save your money and get a real dropper post. So this next product is called the Cricket speaker. It is a Bluetooth speaker that goes on the stem of your bike. Now, why do I hate this already? Because it's a speaker. It's a Bluetooth speaker on your bike. People who put Bluetooth speakers on their bikes and ride through the woods and force everybody to listen to their music, they're everything that's wrong with this world. But this is called the Cricket for a reason. It's actually just for you to hear. It's very low, it faces you, and supposedly it doesn't broadcast everywhere, and so we're gonna test that. So most people who ride with Bluetooth speakers put them in their cup holder or in their backpack, which are like the worst places if just you are listening to it. This is right here up on the stem, kind of projecting directly towards your face. So let me play something that, I don't know, what do the kids listen to these days? The K-pop? So let's go for a ride and listen to this beautiful K-pop ballad. 널 만나기 전 누군가 위해 노래한 적 없어. 길어지는 대화 속 중심은 차린 입이 웃고 있어. 모든 말에 내게 꿈깨를 분명 실망할 테니 수빈 무의미해 네 매력은 또 벼다구를 던져. 가슈 그 누구보다 눈이 참 예뻐. Yeah. All right, could you hear that? I couldn't really hear that much either. Once the sounds and the clanking and stuff come, you'd really have to have this cranked up. So I think it would be good listening to a podcast or something, you know, while you're on a long climb. And to me, that's kind of when I would be listening to music. Like if I bring earbuds or something on a ride, it's a long, monotonous road climb or something. And it doesn't sound like it's loud enough where somebody else would really notice it, and they certainly wouldn't be annoyed by it. Like maybe if they were passing you or they were right next to you. I think it's cool that this exists because to my knowledge, there's really nothing else out there like it. It is very secure. It's right up here in the perfect spot. And you are completely aware of your surroundings. There's nothing in your ears. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't buy one, but I think there are some people out there that would. I can confirm it works. So the next product is the new version of something I've been using for a really long time. I've been using the Dakine, the Hot Laps gripper. It's kind of a pouch you can strap anywhere on your bike, and it holds a lot of stuff really securely because you can cinch it down. See, I've got 2 CO2s, a multi-tool, an inner tube, tire lever. I even have like a poop kit in here. This is great. And the new one has a new strap, and so I figured I'd check it out and see if it's any good. This one's starting to get a little grody. So we're gonna test out the new one. If I had any complaints about the old one, it was that the strap was too narrow. So on certain bikes in certain locations, it would tend to move around, and it looks like they made the strap better. Oh, this strap is awesome. Way more Velcro. It starts further down. That is tight. Yeah. I mean, it was a great product before. It's even better now. That's why I'm reviewing it again, is because I truly like it. I've been using it for years. I'm gonna take it for a trip off the flight deck line, but we're also gonna be testing another product at the same time. This is an app called MTB Hang Time. Subscriber sent it over. They made this app that records all the accelerometer data in your phone. It's supposed to tell you how much hang time or air time you have during a ride, along with some other data. I'm gonna go on my first ride of about 25 seconds and we're gonna see what the data looks like. So, granted, that was a really short ride. Hot Laps gripper stayed right in place. It's better than the old one for sure. This app didn't show me any airtime, said I got no airtime. Oh, wait a minute. Max hang time, 0.74 seconds. It only recorded one jump, so it didn't record the other one. But yeah, it looks like it does something. I actually know a little bit about how involved app development is and how much testing you need to do. I think this is a really cool app. And if a bunch of us download it and use it, that's gonna help the developer make it better and make it work more. And I would love to see this work more accurately because it's extremely simple. You just start it, you stop it. They don't force you to sign up for anything. And yeah, it says I did a jump. It tells me my hang time was 0.74 seconds, which is probably about accurate. Pretty interesting. The next product promises to protect your derailleur. It's from Geo, the same company that made Geo handguards. When we reviewed those, they wouldn't fit on the handlebars. They have since fixed that problem in their latest revision, and now they have a brand new product that we're gonna test today. Okay, so there's a piece of kind of stamped ABS plastic, and there are foam pieces on the inside. I suspect these parts kind of like hit against the derailleur in the worst case, and this part attaches to the frame. Now, why would you need a derailleur guard? Well, sometimes you're going through a tight space and your derailleur smacks into a rock, a log. We're gonna do that. That's why we have the Kent Travail. So I'm kind of hand forming it to fit this particular bike and derailleur. You can bend the plastic a little bit. Yeah, that should work. So it could look worse, all right? This is a little more streamlined than the old-fashioned ones that are like 2 aluminum bars. What makes me think it's gonna work a little bit is that derailleurs are chunky and square edged, and so if it gets caught on a rock or a log or something, really gonna catch the derailleur. Now it's smooth and it can kind of deflect. Do I think that's gonna be enough? We'll see. All right, bingo. Okay, so we can definitely see some abrasions on the derailleur protector. The derailleur hanger is absolute toast. It just took the brunt of the impact and bent in. The derailleur, though, is perfectly fine, and that kind of makes sense. This is a big, broad piece of plastic that's gonna kind of spread out the impact. Now, it's not gonna stop you from bending derailleur hangers or knocking derailleur hangers out of alignment. It doesn't stop impacts at all. What it does is protect the derailleur itself, and so if you have an expensive derailleur, you might consider something like this, but I look at it as like a pocket protector, right? It's like this really practical thing that works, but only certain people are gonna use it, right? The same type of people that are gonna wear pocket protectors probably. Yeah, Geo derailleur guard. This is a set of front and rear Shimano MT200 hydraulic disc brakes. $27.29, that's 59% off. That's Bike-pocalypse pricing. Now, sometimes you'll load the page and the price will be different. They play all sorts of games on AliExpress. Not the most ethical place to get anything, but if you have a Dick's Sporting Goods mountain bike like that GT we saw in the last video, these would be an amazing upgrade for it, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you about deals like these. This is one of the biggest upgrades you can give an entry-level bike with mechanical disc brakes. You can pull the brake lever with your pinky and it'll bring the bike to a dead stop. Not only are these cheap, they're arguably the most reliable hydraulic disc brakes you can possibly get. I have them on the Timberjack, I've put them on all sorts of different bikes, and I've put baby oil in similar brakes, and they're working to this day. Really good, it's not gonna last long. Next product, the Can Claw. This is a neat little water bottle cage that holds cans. I presume most people are putting beer cans in these for their social bike rides, but It holds a LaCroix can just fine, and they have a version for a 16-ounce can. Now, this was designed and built by a self-described pretengineer, but it is one of the best 3D printed parts I've ever seen. Really clean. It's made of fiberglass infused nylon, very strong, but can actually hold a can on a bicycle. So I'm dressed exactly as somebody who carries cans on their bicycles would be, and as you can see, I have installed the can claw upside down. The reason I did that is the release is right here, and I'm afraid that in this configuration, the weight is actually gonna release it. Want to give it a fighting chance on this fork. That is a brutal place to mount a water bottle or a can. Let's take it down some trails and see how well it can hold a can. So that should tell us everything we need to know about the can claw. It can hold a can on your bike for sure, and if you're holding a can on your bike, you're probably riding a single speed or a gravel bike, so your terrain probably wouldn't even be as demanding as that. Now, one thing I like about the can claw, there are no straps, thanks in part to the unique shape of a can that has little lips on it. But I must say, I haven't seen many 3D printed parts that perform this well, especially in chilly weather like we have today. So the can claw, it sure does hold cans. For pretengineers, these guys did a pretty good job. This is $24. That sounds kind of steep for a little piece of plastic, but these are low production runs and designed for something very specific. And so honestly, I think it's a fair price. It's only $1 more for the 16-ounce version. If you gotta hold cans on your bike, I don't know what else would do a better job than this. This is a board game created by a 6-year-old mountain biker. His parents provided the initial seed capital. He started this business making board games. Now he's got a website and everything, full-fledged entrepreneur. Let's see if this board game's any good. So this is a mountain biker's take on the classic game Snakes and Ladders. So I have an admission to make. I don't know how to play Snakes and Ladders. I actually hate board games. When I'm with a bunch of friends and they pull out a board game, I'm just like, see you later. I'm gonna go home and just sit around and look at the wall or sleep or something. I know I'm a bummer, but that's just the way I am. But the quality of this is very good. Artwork is really nice and colorful. I think a kid that enjoys mountain biking would really like this. And of course, you can't always mountain bike. Sometimes your bike's broken, the weather's bad, it's nighttime. And so this is kind of a cool gift for somebody who likes mountain biking. Let's see, how do you play Snakes and Ladders? Okay, let's try this. Okay, so the main strategy with this game is to roll the dice onto the number that's gonna get you to a ladder. If you land on one of these red up arrows, that's a lift. And if you land on one of these blue down arrows, you take the trail down. Now, I am unable to roll the dice and make it land exactly where I want, and so I don't think I'd be very good at this game. But you know what? This is going at the Berm Peak Ranger Station, my mountain biker Airbnb, because it might be raining out and some people like board games. These are the A-Vision Guardian knee pads. Now you take the knee pads on and off with Fidlock V-buckles, and so they're magnetic. Then you pull this little guy over here, and they come off. So you're not sliding them up and down your leg. You can have your shoes on when you're taking them on and off. But there are also several straps to get them to conform to your calf. And once you've made that adjustment, you never have to touch it again. They'll just come on and off really easily with these straps, and those custom adjustments that you made to make them fit your leg stay in place. And there are pads all over them, on the side, on the front. It's pretty impressive, really. I gotta say, on bare legs, they are not the most comfortable knee pads I've ever worn. There's lots of straps here, there's a tag in here that I can feel on my thigh, and they conform to your calves so well that when you extend your leg, they kind of come off your knee and then go back on. I'm not crazy about that, but they really stay in place. And so if I'm trying to protect my knee, I think it's a good trade-off. I think other companies spend so much time trying to make the knee pad just feel like it's not even there that it ends up just sliding everywhere. And as soon as that sticky stuff wears out, you got to get new knee pads. Now these are quite premium and they are priced as such. $130 for knee pads. I've seen protective gear that's a lot more expensive. I've seen a lot that's less. But it looks like you can keep these for a long time. They are easy to clean. You can take out the honeycombs from right here, and then you can put the entire knee pad in the washing machine. The build quality is very good, and like I said, they're the easiest knee pads to get on and off with all your adjustments intact. And if you actually want something that's gonna protect your knees, something that's gonna stay in place where you want it to be, I just haven't tried many knee pads that are as effective as these. These are really starting to grow on me. They stay in place really well and they're easy to take on and off. I think I'm gonna use them and see if they end up being a long-term choice. A-Vision Guardian knee pads. Compact wireless bike pumps. This is a growing category and people are sending them to me all the time. If you remember, I reviewed this one and I criticized it for having kind of short battery life, but actually, having seen a lot of them, this is not a bad bike pump. It's quick, it's easy. It actually makes sense to throw in your pack or leave in your glove box, and it does the job. This one is more capable in every way. It's bigger, more powerful, it has more battery life, it's got a big screen on it, you can check the air pressure, but I don't think as much thought was actually put into this as this one. It's made by an automotive company, Fantic. They make a lot of automotive accessories, and it seems like they wanted to get into the bike market, and they didn't really look into what cyclists would want. And so I'll tell you what I like about this pump, and I'll tell you what I don't like about it. First of all, I do like the battery life, and I do like the build quality. It has a little hose. The hose screws in here. You turn it on, so they have a bunch of presets here now. E-bike is set to 20 PSI, mountain is set to 60 PSI, which would blow the tire right off the rim, and then you can manually set your pressure if you press it again, and that is what I suspect almost every single cyclist who's spending $70 on a wireless bike pump would do. If instead of trying to guess what people actually pump their bike tires up to, they just made preset 1, 2, 3, and 4 and let you decide what they were, it would actually be really convenient. Oh, preset 1 is my front tire, preset 2 is my rear tire, and I always set them to the same pressure. Now again, I must reiterate, this is a $70 wireless bike pump. Who's gonna be buying it? Well, people who take their bikes pretty seriously, and the default setting on this is Schrader. This little bike pump, the one that I criticized, it's Presta by default. You just pop this on the bike and make it go. This one, you have to screw something on, then your valve core comes out. It just seems like they took the hose from an automotive pump, tried to guess what PSI people actually use in their mountain bikes, and then added a 30-cent part to make it a bike pump and charge $70 for it. So yeah, I get it. If you're pumping up soccer balls in the garage or you have some bikes you want to inflate, maybe this is a good product. Like I said, the build quality is good. It's got USB-C charging and the battery life is pretty nice. But to market it as a bicycle product and then send it to the mountain bike YouTuber that has the most subscribers, probably good to do a little bit more research before you do that, because like I said, it's not perfect, and I think there are better products you can get if you're looking for a compact pump actually designed for bicycles. So this is something interesting that was sent to me. Dear Mr. Bike Hacks, I hope our gift reaches you well. We are Steel Silhouettes and wanted to send you a gift to show appreciation for all the enjoyment you've given us over the years. This is actually a steel replica of this bike back over here. It has sort of the same geometry. You can even see the access dropper post. You can see how the seat clamp goes out the back. They even got the shape of the cranks right. They really did a good job here, and they'll actually make one for your bike, and they make it really intuitive. If you go to their website, you actually click find your bike, and if it's a normal bike that people can just buy at a shop, they probably have it in there. I'm not really big into decorations and trinkets and stuff like that, but I think this is pretty cool. And the fact that they make it so easy makes it a great gift to get for someone. Now they have little trinket sized ones, they have medium sized ones, and then these big ones are $200. I'm probably gonna put this up in my Airbnb, and I'm probably gonna put this on my desk, and so I do admire them. I think they're cool, a little pricey, but there are gonna be some people who want them because they're so unique. Now I do get a lot of stuff, more than I can feature. This one's kind of near and dear to me. Clavicle Club, lifetime member. They include a nice little note. Thank you for your show. My son came up with the idea for this mug when he became a member. He thought you'd enjoy one. So they must watch the channel because they know that I'm a lifetime member of the Clavicle Club, and these are available on Etsy. Now first up, from the makers of Sticky Fingers, Miles Wide, Cable Buddies, and this is really cool. These cable buddies are made to hold your hoses and cables in place instead of a zip tie, and they come in different colors, which I like for flip bike because we're always trying to color coordinate things, so let's put some on my bike. Let's try the orange ones first. So we'll put the big side on the brake hose. That snaps in nice. Small one on the shift cable. All right, I really like these. This is sort of a one-size-fits-all solution. They seem to hold really well. They have several other popular colors for bikes today. And what I really like about them is they're reusable. If you're redoing your cables, taking things apart, adjusting things, you don't need to cut a zip tie and put a new one on there. And they look a little more official than a zip tie. Zip ties, you know, they look like zip ties. So I'm a big fan of these. They're not expensive. They seem to work well, and really cool product. Another good one from Miles Wide. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna talk about is already on my bike. Fidlock. You guys have probably seen it before. It's these water bottles that snap into place with a magnet, and then they don't come off, and then you gotta twist it to get it back off. And Fidlock did make a new, bigger bottle that I like, and it's got a cover on the top, but that's not what I'm gonna talk about from Fidlock. They have something else. Fidlock actually makes a phone case, and it's got a bike mount, and I wanna try that out because I really liked that quad lock case because it stayed on the bike really good, but it protruded from the back. This one is completely flat, and so I'm curious if it holds onto the phone as well. Does seem like a very nice case. It's got this felt on the inside. It's really sturdy. Actually nicer than the case I have right now. For the iPhone Pro Max Ultimate, this is a tight case, that's good. Test number 1, how do the volume buttons feel? Ooh, nice and easy to push, nice and clicky. Doesn't have anything protruding from it, which is nice. Let's see how the mount works. This looks complicated. Okay, so I guess this piece, oh, it's magnetic. Okay, that seems, I don't know. We're gonna have to send something to find out. Let's install it. Okay, so how do I get this off? Like I can literally lift up the bike by this. Go underneath it, and so I just push this thing down, and it comes right off. It lets the air out. You just drop the phone in place, and it's done, and then you can open up trail forks, get your maps on there, record your ride. So, you know what we do with phone cases here. Okay, that worked. Like, I sent wall rides, rock gardens, wasn't even close to coming off. So let's go into the shop and just look at it a little bit closer because I have some feedback. So, not many critical things to say about it. I mean, it's like the slimmest phone case you can possibly get that clips to a bike, and this is pretty small and low profile, not the coolest looking thing, but if you want to take it off, it's just one pinch bolt. One downside of this, and it's same with quad lock, it doesn't work with a wireless charger. So is this going to be my new phone case? Well, maybe we have one more phone case to review. So this company, Snow, what is it called? I was looking at it like this, but it's actually like this. It's called Mouse. All I'm interested in is the phone case. I want to see if it's better than the Fidlock one. So looks similarly slim, similarly well built. If I have to choose between the two of them, it's a tough call. I kind of like the Fidlock one better because it's just smooth here. There are these little holes in the bottom of this. Now we've got their mount, and their mount doesn't work with a suction cup and a magnet. It works with these little clips. So you kind of line them up. Now it's on there, and then you squeeze these little tabs in to get your phone off. It does appear to have a magnet on it to help it find it. So you go like this, sort of finds it, and you clip it in. That's cool. Okay, so this is one of those mounts that can put it kind of out in front of your bike. And it's got a little tool-free tightening knob. So that's pretty quick and easy. Love the positioning of it. It does appear to be really solid. We're gonna test that. What I don't like about it is it's a lot harder to put on than the Fidlock, even with the little magnet that they have there. See, if you go like this, it sort of self-centers and then you can push it down. Still not as easy as the Fidlock. You can literally just toss that on there and it just suctions itself in place. Let's see if this holds in place like the Fidlock. Wow, that was great. Worked flawlessly, just like the Fidlock, but it fits a little bit tighter to the handlebars. It doesn't move around as much, and it's in a better position. It's a little further forwards. If I'm gonna choose which case to use, it's actually gonna be a difficult decision. Okay, so which one am I gonna choose? Which one's gonna be my new phone case? You know, I would choose either of them over Quad Lock, and Quad Lock was the best thing out there, but then all phones started coming with wireless charging. This is nice and low profile, works with wireless charging. Now, because the Fidlock uses this magnetic piece, it actually doesn't work with wireless charging. So all other things considered equal, I'm gonna choose the Mouse, but they're both pretty much the best way to mount your phone to your bike. So the next one, the Oura Ring. It is a fitness tracker. Those of you who know me know I don't record my rides, I don't use Strava, I don't wear an Apple Watch. I'm like really resistant to all these things, but Eric Porter convinced me to get one of these, and I'm mainly using it to track my sleep. Over the last year, my sleep has been the thing negatively impacting my health the most. And if you have a bad night of sleep, you snap on people, you make bad decisions, you don't work to your fullest potential, you make mistakes. It's terrible. And this has sort of gamified my sleep to the point where it's just getting better and better and better. And I have this to thank for sort of giving me the data and showing me how bad it really was. But of course, this works for a lot of other things besides sleep. If you go on a ride, you don't have to press a button or anything. It'll just detect it and they'll say, hey, were you bike riding? Tracks how many calories and steps you do throughout the day, like any other fitness tracker. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but it's so low profile that I will actually wear it. Now, if I had to press a button to start recording something, or if I had to wear a big bulky watch or anything like that, it would be totally off the table. But now that I just have all the data there, it's positively impacting my life. I just wear on the same finger I would wear my wedding band, and so I'm not really adding anything to my life. I'm actually getting used to riding with it, which I thought would be pretty difficult with a Ring. You only have to charge it like once a month. You just plug it in for 30 minutes and it's charged. I never ever thought I would wear a health and fitness tracker, but I do because this one's just that low profile. And in a lot of ways, it's helped me gamify my health in such a way that I try to do better the next day. And I'm looking forward to getting a lot healthier, getting better sleep. The next product we're gonna review, I've been testing for about 2 years. They're on my feet. This is the Ride Concepts Vice, and it's my second pair. I absolutely love these. I wore 510s for the longest time, and then something changed about them. The next version of it just didn't feel as good. These ones are just perfect. Now, the bottom looks a lot different than other flat pedal shoes, but I guess the spikes kind of fall in here and hold it in place. I have no problems with my feet moving around. Shoes are a really personal thing, but Eric also turned me on to this. He said, you gotta try these shoes, you gotta try these shoes. And he was 100% right. These are not only a good riding shoe, to me, they just feel like a really good shoe. I build in them, I hike in them, I ride in them. I do a lot of things on and off my bike. And so that's why I got the version that's kind of more casual. Now, like I said before, shoes are a really personal thing. And so what works for me might not work for you, but certainly works for me, works for Eric, works for his kids. And I certainly like them better than 510s, which were sort of ubiquitous as a flat pedal shoe. Now, another funny thing that Ride Concepts makes are these sandals. They're just slip-ons, and I don't know if they're really intended for riding bikes with. I don't think they are, but it looks like this would be pretty good on a pedal. Let's try them. Not advisable. They stuck to the pedals though. So this next product is from Tilt Industries, and as you can see, it's a bike repair stand, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, it's not the best bike repair stand I've ever used. The Park Tool one is way better. However, bike stand is almost like a bonus in terms of what this does. This does 3 things that I'm gonna show you, but let's set it up on the wall first. Okay, I didn't like put bolt holes in my wall for this, but I have it like kind of rigged up against the frame of the garage door opener, so keep that in mind. Now you can see how it works as a bike rack. You can put your bike here and it goes against the wall, and so you have an apartment or a garage or somewhere that you want to save space, you have a bike rack, but it's not only a bike rack, it's also a repair stand. You don't have to take it off the wall. Check this out. And now you have a repair stand wherever you are. So let's say you have an apartment and you like to go riding and your bike takes up like so much space. Now you have it mounted to the wall, you have a repair stand, you're not tripping over anything, and then if you really want to save space, this whole thing folds against the wall. But that's not all. This is not how it's supposed to work. But when it goes on the ground, it's now a balance trainer. I know that as a manual machine, and a friend of mine, Joe, Mr. Tonka, invented it, and it was cool when he did, but now, let me show you what it is. I have mixed feelings about manual trainers. Okay, so the way a balance trainer works, manual trainer, manual machine, whatever you want to call it, you put it in here, then they give you a ratchet strap. So now we have our wheel secured. You want to disconnect the chain so that you can't put back pressure on the pedal to help yourself artificially balance. And now we're doing manual training. Whoa! So one thing Tilt Industries got right was their marketing. They're not calling it a manual trainer. They're not calling it a manual machine. They're calling it a balance trainer. So the concept is if you use this regularly, you're gonna build up the strength of flexor muscles and different fitnessy things like that. Dude, if you don't have a place to practice manuals, you don't have a place to ride your bike. And then you don't need a bike rack, you don't need a repair stand, you don't need anything. Like, that's my opinion about manual trainers. If you find it fun, or if you think it's gonna give you more confidence, that's one thing. But I think this makes a pretty good wall mount for a bike. It's pretty convenient to have the repair stand there, and it's pretty cool that they have it all into one package that's really portable. So if you live in an apartment, you live in a city, you have limited space, this could be pretty cool, but I'm personally not looking for a balance trainer, but the other things it does I think are pretty cool. So the next product is Shut the Frig Up Bike. That's exactly what it's called, STFU bike. It was invented by Chris Kavarik up in Whistler, Canada. And so there's pretty good credibility behind this product, and a lot of people swear by it. There's a version for different downhill drivetrains, and there is a trail version, which we're gonna test today. It's supposed to stop your chain from slapping around and making noise. Let's go install it. The The way this works is your chain is actually gonna run through these, and then it's going to cinch down here, and as the chain shifts, it's actually going to move through here. I'm gonna show you. Okay, so it appears you can shift all the way through without it touching, but if you're going over bumps on the trail, it's always hitting into this rubber guide and not into your chainstay. Now, I don't have a lot of problems with chain slap. However, maybe if I ride with this, I'll notice that things are a little bit more serene. Let me send this down the rock guard and see what it feels like. That was really quiet. And I can tell a lot of thought went into this. It's well designed. I don't see it going anywhere. It's gotta be good for your drivetrain, just keeping it from moving around so much. And I think I could get used to the reduced noise. So time will tell, but for now, I'm gonna say that's definitely worth 35 bucks. This is a battery-powered bike pump. So you can see there's a little button over here. Here's where you stick the valve stem in. It's got USB-C charging. That's great. Even my Sony camera comes with micro B, which is insane. But before we test this to see if it's any good, what's the point? Why do you need an electric bike pump this small? I mean, it obviously must run out of batteries really quick, and so it's not giving you the same benefit as like a micro pump. And if you look at a micro pump like this one, it's not even really saving you any space because this is thicker, right? So if you're putting either one in your pocket or something, yeah, the micro pump barely feels like it's there. This feels like a brick in your pocket. Let's see what it weighs compared to other methods of inflation. So we're set to grams here. The micro pump, 81 grams. CO2 with inflator, 84 grams. Lithium ion pump, 102 grams. I don't know if you obsess over 20 grams. I don't. With the micro pump, you get unlimited inflates. Just leave it and forget it. But it's really, really hard to use. With a CO2, it's super, super easy to use and very light and compact, but you only get one shot. With this battery-powered pump, it's really easy to use. Oh, there it goes. Let's see how it inflates. That was pretty unscientific. I'm just using the squeeze test. You could get back to the trailhead with this tire. So in 2 minutes, we got this up to 21.5 PSI. That's completely usable tire pressure on a mountain bike. Could I do better with a hand pump? Absolutely not, and I don't care to find out. So this is definitely better than a hand pump, but how much can you get out of it before it runs out of battery? Let's inflate it up again. Let's see if we can get 2 inflates out of this on one charge. Oh, sounds like it's struggling. So we're at like 17 PSI. We barely got 2 inflates out of it. Now, for a road bike, this would be fantastic because you would pump up the tire in no time and you could probably do it over and over and over again. Road bike tires are really low volume, but on a mountain bike tire, you're barely getting an advantage over a CO2. In fact, a CO2 is a lot quicker, it's smaller, it's lighter. There's probably a place for this for really isolated use cases, but none that would apply to me. I don't know, you guys saw what it did. What do you think? This is $80? Yeah, I'm not gonna use it. This valve is completely clogged. And I was just thinking how that rarely happens to me when I was deciding whether or not to review these Fillmore tubeless valves. They're supposed to not clog as easily. So the way it works is, tire sealant is designed to clog small holes. Your valve that you pump up your tire with, it's a little tiny hole, and so if there's any air leaking out of it and sealant gets inside, it dries up and it does what it's supposed to do. These have kind of a unique design that's supposed to avoid that. It is a very premium, very nice valve. How does this work? Oh, that's smart. The entire valve core is this one piece that runs from the top of the stem all the way to the bottom. So any clog that forms over here from outside the bike, you just push the tip of the stem down and it's supposed to bust the clog. I think I'm gonna replace the valves on this wheel with these and see long-term whether it does. It looks like a good design. It is a very premium valve core. 40 bucks is steep, but yeah, we're spending $90 on chains and stuff. Way she goes. This is a strap that you take with you so that if your bike breaks, you can tie your bike to your back and hike it out. I'm gonna try and remain impartial here, and we're just gonna see how this thing works. All right, let's just do this like we're on the trail. I got a flat tire, so obviously I have to carry my bike all the way home. So, I think I know how this works now. You're supposed to carry it like this. So if your level of preparedness is such that you carry the strap with you, I assume you probably have a backpack on, and so it wouldn't be as uncomfortable as this is. I have suspension linkage digging into my shoulder blade, a pedal kind of catching me every so often. It's very uncomfortable. Is it worse than carrying the bike over your shoulder? It's probably better than carrying a bike over your shoulder, but in what situation would you do that? I feel bad about myself for, it's like, there's a whole story behind it. One day I saw on social media, a friend broke his bike while riding it and ended up carrying it about 6 miles down the mountain to safety. I figured there had to be a better way, if only... The thought is coming from the right place, right? Like, yeah, this is better than carrying your bike for 6 miles, but there are other things that are better than carrying your bike for 6 miles that could fit in something smaller. So there it is. Think of all the things you could carry in here. Same footprint, right? Hold that thought. This guy on social media who carried his bike 6 miles. Yes, it's totally possible his frame was completely cracked in half, but in reality, he was probably unprepared. And if you are so unprepared that you have to carry your bike 6 miles back to the trailhead, you ain't bringing this with you. And so you're right back to the same problem and you're carrying your bike. And so to me, this level of preparedness could be way more effective if in this bag was like a couple of CO2s, a plug kit, an inner tube, a multi-tool. I understand there are situations where you have to carry your bike, okay? I've done bike rides where there's hike-a-bike sections, and I understand that you can blow up a wheel to the point where it doesn't even roll. I get that, but there's a solution to all of these things. So let's say it's your front wheel. Well, easy solution, you do this, and you roll it back to the trailhead. And if you need to carry the bike temporarily for a few seconds, you can just pick it up. I hate shouting down like small companies and entrepreneurs, like I really do. But this smells like something from outside the bike industry where like they think that mountain bikers are gonna use this. Am I completely wrong about this? Is this extremely useful? If you are a person who is looking for something like this, it works. Everything on it works, and it looks like it would last a long time. I just would never, ever use it. If this next product is what I think it is, it's an emergency bleed kit. This is the whole thing. Look at how big it is. I assume you fill it up with your own oil because different brakes take different oil. If you are really, really prepared, right? You're carrying around a backpack, you're going for a long backcountry ride. Really cool to be able to service hydraulic disc brakes if anything goes wrong, if your brakes go mushy on you for some reason. So first of all, brake bleeding on a vehicle or on a mountain bike, it's basically when you have hydraulic brakes, sometimes air bubbles get trapped inside, or sometimes you're low on fluid. The act of bleeding them is making sure there's no air in the system and you have all just fluid in there. You could screw it into your brake lever or your caliper with some fluid in here, and you can try and get some bubbles out and get it good enough to get back to the trailhead. I could see this being kind of useful. Not much of a mess. Yeah, what can I say? That's pretty brilliant. What does it cost? $30 US, and it's sold out. I mean, that's a pretty fair price for something so specific. To call it a bleed kit, I don't know. I would call it a self-enclosed bleed funnel. It's well thought out, it's useful. There's obviously a lot of people who need it because it's sold out. I'd say good job. Next up, world's lightest bicycle grips. 18 grams? I don't even know what bicycle grips normally weigh. Let's find out. Okay, so first of all, are these 18 grams? Yeah, they're 18 grams, but with the little caps, they're 24 grams. And most bicycle grips either have the caps built in or they come with caps. That's part of grips, and so these are 24 grams. That's still probably really light. These feel like nothing. Here are a set of ergon grips with the ends built in. I love these grips. 102 grams. Okay, so you're saving like 75% off the weight of the grips. That's pretty damn good. In my opinion, these are only viable if they're as good as any other grip. They're very comfortable. It would take a long-term test to see how these hold up, but it does seem to be made of pretty durable foam. I prefer just normal rubber grips, and I'm not that obsessive with weight, where I would try to save weight in my grips. I just want the grips that I like the best, but I don't deny that this is important to someone, and grips are a place where apparently you can easily save 75 grams. What do these cost? $41. That puts them in like a premium price category for grips. I don't know if these would be worth it to me, but they have good reviews, and All Mountain Style usually makes really good stuff. And so I would say if you're trying to save weight on your grips, these might be a good product to look at. Not for me, but they work, and I'm about to test them a little bit further. Okay. Next product, Riley ramps. I assume this is gonna be some kind of a ramp, and it's in a very nice, neat package. So you can travel with it, you can bring it places, and the same straps that you use to kind of package it, they get used to hold the ramp together so it doesn't fall apart once it's set up. And that's it. Real nice. I mean, this is definitely like a kid ramp, a scooter ramp, balance bike ramp. There's not that much trouble we can get into with it, but let's have a little session on it. Okay, not a whole lot I can do on it, but I've determined that it's pretty solid, it's well made. No transitions or anything, but you wouldn't expect that on a ramp this small. This is the Renegade, and it's priced at $218.99. And they do advertise balance bikes, one wheels, stuff like that. My daughter messing around in the driveway on a balance bike, this is exactly the type of ramp that I would need. It's a good little ramp, and the fact that it's portable is really nice. Part of me thinks that $220 is a little steep, but at the same time, what are you supposed to sell something like this for? It's not like it's sold at Walmart and they're gonna sell millions of them. This is kind of a niche item. If you're looking for exactly this, I mean, yeah, it's pretty tough to beat. I gotta say, it packs back up really easily. Like, it's the type of thing where you're like, oh, that's the last time it'll be packed up like this. No, it actually packs up really easily. And it's got a little handle here. Not bad. As for these grips, they're comfortable, they're grippy. They did move a little bit. I still don't think I've used them enough or for the proper discipline to really give it a judgment. I'd say these are probably gonna be for people who are riding cross country. Yeah, it's tough to say. They are comfortable and they are grippy. So these are bamboo handlebars, and they're gonna be designed for commuter bikes, for maybe a bike that you're riding on gravel. It's not for like hitting big jumps and drops, but these are just breathtakingly beautiful. They have a really nice sweep too. So as you can see in the center here where the clamp goes, there's actually a carbon fiber sleeve around them. These are $100, which, not bad. I was about to put them on the Kent Travail. That would be kind of a travesty. I'm gonna put them on the tall bike. Oh man. So I can already see one big problem. I'm gonna have to start upgrading other things on the bike so they look as nice as the handlebars. I'm loving this sweep. Loving the shape of these bars. Ooh, I can really feel the flex. Like no joke. No joke, these would absorb some, it's almost scary. I'm gonna take it on some gravel. These are freaking awesome. They flex so much, like way more than you would want on a bike that you're using for any type of performance, but for like one of those mountain towns in Colorado that are more or less flat in the town area, and you're just cruising around your single speed, mountains in the background, and you look down and you just see these beautiful bamboo bars. I'm a huge fan of these. I'm gonna come up with some kind of build just to use these on the build, like awesome. It's the STWAP, the Delta STWAP Repair Storage Strap, the STWAP. So, I normally make it a point not to review gear straps. You know why? Because the first time I saw a gear strap, I knew everything I needed to know. It's a strap that straps gear to your bike. But this looks intriguing. This looks a little bit different. The picture in particular is just like, wow. That would be cool if it works like that. So this gear strap gives you a bunch of spaces to attach your multi-tool and to attach your CO2 and to kind of put everything together into one neat package. Normally you're just kind of bundling it together and putting a strap around it. And so this is all attached here. Now we can strap this around the tube onto the bike. It's not really pretty the way that I just did it. I don't know, let me try in a different spot. I'm just gonna strap it down up here and see what it looks like. It's not particularly elegant looking like the picture, and maybe that's my fault. This is the recommended usage right here. I have it on the tightest setting it goes, and it just doesn't feel as tight as other gear straps that I've tested. It's definitely not as tight as the Dakine Hot Laps gripper. What does this cost? Okay, so it's not expensive. It's 20 bucks, which seems fair for something like this. I just wouldn't do any hardcore mountain biking with this. It just doesn't seem secure enough. I think for some people this might be good because it does give you a lot of spaces to kind of build your own kit, but I just prefer the Dakine Hot Laps gripper. That's the best gear strap I've ever seen, and it's the only one I use, and until I find one that's better than that, yeah, I've just the other gear straps I can just have an opinion on, but it's not the one I'm actually using on my bike. Let's start with this one over here, and these are called Mendit kits. This is a first aid kit, but it looks different from any first aid kit I've ever seen. So first, let me show you another first aid kit. This is like what you would order if you just typed in first aid kit. And honestly, with what's in here, it's like band-aids, scrapes, cuts, things like that. These first aid kits are really not that capable. This seems way more specific to mountain biking. Broken bones, big wounds. Not trying to scare anyone away from the sport, but at least they're being realistic. Okay, so they have a big strap on here so that you can wrap it around your frame and actually tie it to your bike. I assume this strap also doubles as the tourniquet. Yes, you can wrap this around somebody's body part, and then you can turn this and it'll keep making it tighter and tighter and tighter. Ooh. It's an actual tourniquet. Here's some more stuff in here. You've got Advil and bandages and gauze and all the things that you would find in all of these first aid kits. Oh, here we go. You could use this as a brace in so many different situations. It's got metal on the inside, and so you can form it to the shape of somebody's wrist. Also has some good guidance for head, neck, and back injury, lacerations and skin abrasions, suspected broken bone. That's good because I don't know any first aid. Now, my main criticism would be that it's kind of big. Even if you're gonna strap this to your bike, this is not something that people are going to bring with them on every ride. But if there's a big group of people and one person brings this, or a mountain bike guide, or patrol, or a trail builder, I can see that somebody who wants to be prepared for a specific situation would honestly find no better option than this. And so Mend It kits, this is honestly one of the most capable first aid kits I've ever seen for a mountain biker. Good job. And this must be from the south because there's a Cheerwine cap. These look like bar ends. This looks like a 3D printed stem cap. And this is the top cap for a fork. Now all this stuff makes sense. So this is just a way to put bottle caps on your bike as decoration. That's fun. So it's a product that lets you install bottle caps on your bike, and it does technically keep dirt out of the bolt that is there. And I suspect there aren't any other products out there like this. I get a lot of unoriginal stuff. This is original. Multi-tool valve caps, Schrader for BMX and Presta for mountain bike. The notch at the top of both caps can be used to tighten spokes. The Presta type valve cap has a valve core remover. And he did say these are prototypes, like a real version of this would be made of metal. This is just an example. It's a cool idea. I think it works well enough, and your valve cap is kind of an untapped tool mounting location on your bike. Very interesting, good job. Okay, Riley here made some tools in his garage. This is way better quality than I was expecting for some reason. This looks like a rotor truing fork, and it has a nice angle in it so you can get to it from outside the bike. Very interesting, and it feels durable. See what this next one is. Yeah, I can't overstate how surprisingly good the quality is. So this is a truly useful shop tool. We have this giant pedal wrench with tons of leverage, fits right on a pedal. Then if you're removing a cassette or a freewheel, your cassette or freewheel tool fits right in here, kind of better than anything else I own. This is awesome. What else we got here? Now I have high hopes. Okay, what the heck is this? I don't know what this is, but it's really cool. Cassette pliers. Okay, let me show you what this is for. Okay, so if I want to remove this cassette, there is a lock ring over here that I can turn with this tool. So we insert this tool. We use this one for leverage, but as you can see, it just turns the cassette like your bike is coasting. So we have to hold it still. Now these are cassette pliers that Park Tool makes. There's also a tool called the chain whip, and it can basically hold onto your cassette so that you can hold it still when you're taking it off. Riley's tool is just these steel teeth that go around the cassette. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, damn, that's really nice. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, and I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Is this good for the cassette? Your cassette might be made of aluminum or something, and now you have these steel teeth on it. I don't think to hold it still for one revolution it's gonna make any difference. After all, your chain is steel and putting tons of torque on your cassette all day. Pretty impressive. These are some very slick tools, and I think we got one more. Valve core wrench. Nicest valve core wrench I own. This is gonna definitely stay out in the shop. Riley, I'm glad you're making bike tools. Next product I'm gonna show you comes from me. These little stubby hex drivers. I use these just for bottle cages, and so I have all the sizes that you would find a bottle cage bolt in, and you can get right in there without your wrench getting in the way of stuff. And so the reason I'm using this right now is to install the bottle cage that somebody sent me. It's a bottle cage designed for a Nalgene bottle. And so I would say that this has been done a million times and it's not original, except this is particularly well designed. It's really sturdy. And I just see limited ways that it could get cracked or damaged. And so I don't have much more to say about it besides that. We've already tested a Nalgene bottle cage. This is just a little thicker and more robust than other ones I've seen, and looks real good. And I especially admire this subscriber because he mowed lawns all summer to save up for a Prusa 3D printer that he designed these on. I guess he had met Kevin at Canuga last year, and he keeps a 1997 GT mountain bike going. So Adam from Cleveland, I admire that very much, and I'd say you have a bright future. Now, what I will say is the other Nalgene bottle cage that I reviewed had a way to keep it from coming out like this. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. It's a bash guard. Not only that, but at $27.99, it's one of the most affordable bash guards you can get. But if this individual followed Berm Peak, they would know that we already tried making actual bike parts on the 3D printer and didn't work out so hot. Ooh. And so, I don't know, let's try it. This does look like a really thick, really strong 3D printed part. Designed to protect your mountain bike frame and drivetrain from rocks, logs, and roots, these are 3D printed from durable PETG plastic. I guess there's only one way to find out if this protects your chain ring. So bash guards take as much abuse as any bike part you could ever imagine, and this one held up just fine. Somehow I couldn't design any 3D printed parts that would survive on a bike, but somehow this individual made a bash guard that survives. Would it survive to a really high speed impact with a rock? I don't know, but I'm pretty impressed so far, so good job. Enclosed are 2 to try out. Adjust the tension straps until you can hold the handlebar and the pad is relatively snug against the bar but not getting in the way. I call it a wrist wedge. I hope you like them. I still can't understand even slightly what this does. So it looks like you put your wrist through here and then you put your finger through here. I guess it's a wrist brace, and then you can tighten this down to like, yeah, I don't understand it. Okay, so this is a teaching moment for anybody sending these products. I get these messages that sort of explain what it does. Put yourself in my shoes with no information. I open up the package. You have to tell me what it does. It doesn't say whether it's a wrist brace or whether it's for somebody with a hand problem or anything. It looks well thought out, but I don't know what it does. But thanks for sending it. This one looks a little more self-explanatory, but does seem to include instructions. So what it looks like here is this individual included a bunch of little 3D printed things. One of them being an adapter to add bottle cage mounts anywhere on your bike. That's kind of cool. And then they've also included these plates, which is for mounting things with straps. So first of all, this little mounting plate has a spot for quick links. So as you can see now, we have a perfect mounting plate to strap a tube down to the bike. So we can just take this strap, go over the tube, and we can strap it on with one of these gear straps. Can you strap a tube to your bike without this? Yes, of course. But this is just a proof of concept. You can install a pump, a storage container, or an extra water bottle. There's lots of things that attach to bottle cage mounts, and so this is pretty cool. One suggestion I would make in future iterations of this design, put a piece of metal or a little nut behind it for those bottle cage bolts. I just went straight in thinking it was there and marked up my frame because the bolt went through and smacked into the carbon. But luckily, I don't care about scratching my bike. Hey Curtis, do you mind if I get super muddy and drive your Jeep?
No.
Can Oscar sit in the passenger seat?
Oscar? No.
What if I use a seat cover? This is the Scoover seat cover. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's made by mountain bikers, and this is the one vehicle it doesn't fit in. So this seat cover stays attached to your headrest, ready to go when you're done with your ride and you're all covered in mud. You just flip it over and then open it up and it just covers your seat. There's this grippy stuff on the other side so it stays in place, it doesn't slide around. And yes, the stuff just kind of flaps around, but once you're sitting on it, it stays in place and it protects your car from all the mud that you brought in from the forest. So the good. First of all, it appears to work. It's made of really high quality materials and it's well designed. It has this little pocket for the seatbelt to go through. I tried to figure out what they cost. They're not available until August 16th and the price is nowhere. I would imagine they're pricey. They're really complicated for what they are. So you do that. You do that. You do that again. I guess you just roll it up there. That's actually not too bad. The ones I already own are easier. But with that said, if you have a compact car and you don't have a place to store seat covers, this is always ready to go right on your headrest. You could leave one on each headrest for weeks and weeks, and then the day you need it, you just flip it down. You don't have to remember to bring them. They're not buried in the back of your trunk. Scoovers, they're well designed. They're made by mountain bikers who watch this channel. They seem to work. I'm gonna leave them in my wife's car for when Oscar wants to sit shotgun. Somewhat recently, I reviewed Mend It kits. It's a really capable first aid kit for mountain bikers. Has a lot of features other first aid kits don't. They just made a mini version of it, cost 20 bucks, and it fits under your water bottle cage. Let's check it out. So it sits on the outside of your bike next to your water bottle cage, so you don't have to pull it out of a bag or anything. You can get to it quickly. It's extremely light. Let's see what it weighs. 22 grams, nice. Let's see what's inside. This is a bag with everything in it. Okay, 3M Steri-Strips, 2 nice size Band-Aids, alcohol prep pad, pain reliever, acetaminophen, antibacterial ointment, Neosporin, and little clothespins so you can make a makeshift sling out of a shirt or whatever. But there's something else in here. Now, when I opened this up, there were these 2 little Velcro straps. They honestly seem kind of excessive, but that's because they're designed to be a splint. So the piece that mounts the Mend It kit, this flexible piece of 3D printed material, it's made to break off of its mount. Then you have a finger splint, which you can then affix with these Velcro straps. That's pretty ingenious. There's almost no part of this first aid kit that is wasted. Just like the original large size Mend It kits, this is absolutely excellent. I think it's a small enough kit where I'm actually gonna bring one with me. I'd be dumb not to bring this with me, especially since I ride with my daughter a lot. And at 20 bucks, I think it's a pretty fair package. For me, that would be the only criticism I would have with this. I had to mess with it pretty hard, but I could see that if my shoe or leg brushed up against it hard enough, this thing would be laying out on the trail. So this next product we can actually use to install the Mend It kit on my dad bike. It's called the Nub Hex. Now, thumb drivers have been around for a long time, but this is sort of a response to one that I made. I 3D printed these little hex drivers for installing water bottle cages because it's hard to get any other type of wrench in there. The cage is in the way, the frame is in the way, and so a subscriber made these much better ones with a lot more leverage. The ones I made are not really big enough to get the bolt all the way tight. You have to use another wrench to kind of tighten it down all the way. These have a lot more leverage. There's a better design, and it has all the bits built in. So you can pop the bit out here, and you can pop other bits out of the side and do any size water bottle cage you want. Honestly, for $7, this is pretty good. So it doesn't look like they sell the multicolored ones, but I would love to see these 3 as a set because in a workshop, it's good to just have everything out. But if you want one that's perfect for water bottle cages, here you go. So next, Crank Brothers has a couple of new products. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, you know I'm a Crank Brothers fanboy, and so here is my very biased review. First, the new F16 multi-tool. I have loved the F15 for years. That's been my favorite multi-tool, my go-to. And this adds the addition of a tubeless repair kit right on it in a very nice little package. The tool comes in a case. Everything's all enclosed, and then the multi-tool slides out. It's got all the tools you would expect, and it has a chain tool on the top, which also comes out with a magnet and gives you some spoke wrenches. Now the case doubles as a bottle opener, but also if you extend one of these wrenches and then put the tool back into the case, you now have some extra leverage, which is why this is one of my favorite tools. You can crack loose a pedal or something that's really tight by using the case for extra leverage. But of course, the new thing they added is the tubeless repair kit. And you can see this little piece pops off, very slim, and then you have a plug applicator, and it looks like 3 plugs inside. The quick links actually hold in the plugs. So you put the plugs down and then you push the quick links down here and it keeps them from falling out. That is actually pretty sweet. So I like everything about it, but for $59.99, that's kind of steep, even in 2023. And so you'd have to really, really, really like this to spend 60 bucks on it. Next is the Clik HV mini floor pump. It's a compact pump that's actually a floor pump. We have seen other products like this. Now you can see there's the end right here. It looks like it's a pump, but actually this comes out, and then the part that makes it the Clik clicks into place magnetically, and then you have your head right over here. Then this flips out, and you can put your foot on it. Handle flips over, so you have your foot here, and you're pumping. Pretty sweet. So the good, well, first of all, packs up really nice design, and not that heavy either. You could put this in a backpack and have a really capable pump with you. It's got a sweet head. I hate the ones that you screw on. It's just a lot of extra work. This one works just like a floor pump you would have in your shop or you would have in the trunk of your car. The handle is also really good. I have another pump just like this. I think it's made by Pro Bike Tool, but you have to screw the end onto the Presta valve. The handle is really small and not ideal, but otherwise that thing is pretty good, and this costs twice as much. Given its weight, the design, how compact it is, this is pretty good even for 60 bucks, but if you want a compact floor pump, there are other options out there for less money. I'm definitely leaving this in my car though. This thing is sweet. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I'm a big fan of the fork cork. It goes up into the bottom of your steer tube and plugs it up. Keeps dirt and mud from getting in there, and you could stash some money or whatever. I even made a 3D printed add-on to hold an inflator and a CO2 inside my steer tube. Well, the maker of the fork cork, Miles Wide, was paying attention. He made a tubeless patch kit that fits on the fork cork. It's an add-on kit. Gives you a longer bolt over here and a little tubeless patch kit that can screw on. I absolutely love this, and I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, big fat tire plugs, and a ton of them. You have enough plugs here, you could be selling them to other people on the trails. You could be a plug dealer. And this is the best handle ever. This is a big handle that you could use to just jam that plug in there. Your actual fork cork is the handle, and of all the tubeless repair kits you can install in your bike, this is the easiest to install. You don't have to do any prep work. You can just go up to any bike, stick this up in there, tighten it down, and it's ready to go. You're ready to plug a tire at any given moment. You just reach up under your steer tube, unscrew it, pull it out, bam! This is awesome. Now, I don't know what this plug kit costs yet. It'll probably be available by the time this video airs. I hope it's not that much because the fork cork is 30 bucks, and so you're adding this to whatever the fork cork costs. This is just about the best tubeless repair kit I have ever seen that you can bring with you in your mountain bike. The Dib bottle is supposed to be a better water bottle. It's a storage water bottle for your mountain bike. We have this little wristband that goes around it, slides apart. You can put water in here, and you can put whatever you want in here. I would imagine car keys, wallet, inner tube, whatever it is you want to store. Right off the bat, I can see some problems with this. First of all, this is 10.8 ounces. That's less than a can of Mountain Dew or whatever beverage you choose. That's not really enough for a ride. So let's fill it up and see if it's any good. So I have this filled with water, and I was able to measure just over 11 ounces that I was able to fit in the smaller one. This is their bigger bottle, which is closer in size to what I would normally ride with, but still, you only put water in part of it. So let's see how much that holds. That'll hold 16 ounces. I'd say that's enough for some bike park laps. A full bottle like this, I'm measuring almost 27 ounces in this bottle. That's enough to really go out there and get into trouble. I have here a few items that you might bring with you: car keys, multi-tool, wallet, snack bar. We're gonna put them all in here. Fits no problem. Wallet doesn't fit. Let's see if I kind of squeeze it. Oh, that's gonna be really hard to get out. This is like, we're now really stuffing. So no on the wallet. All right, we got our multi-tool. We're just gonna stuff it in here. And now we have my car keys, and we're pretty much completely maxed out. There's no more room for anything else. This design where they split the bottle this way, I guess they did that so you could fit something longer in it, but I think you'd be able to store a lot more stuff in it if they cut it this way and just had it all one piece. It coming apart doesn't really bring anything to the table in my opinion. I think I would much rather more water. So for me, this is kind of a no-go, but for those of you who are looking for something like this, a little bit of extra storage, it exists, the dib bottle. So recently we did a review of a bunch of different handlebar phone mounts, brackets that hold your smartphone on your bike. And so I guess Ram Mounts thought it'd be a good idea to send me their mount. So let's take a look at it and see if it's any good. There's a piece of rubber with adhesive backing. We've also got 2 zip ties. Really? You zip tie this to the handlebars? This thing's like out of a spaceship from the 1970s. Okay, let's go over to the bike and unpack this. So they want to do it with zip ties. We'll cinch it down real good. And now we've got the Ram mount on here. Let's stick my phone into it. Okay, that seems pretty secure. Let's take it out on the trail and see if it is. So I'm up here with the Ram mount. I'm about to hit some jumps, and that's actually throwing it a softball because jumps with nice transitions, less impact than going through a rock garden or doing trails. So if it can't hold up to the jumps, it's not gonna hold up to anything. So let's hit the whale tail and see how she goes. Whoa! Whoa! We did not make it very far, and kind of exactly what I thought would failed. The zip ties just started sliding this way. Yeah, not so good. You know what I really could have used on that trail is the web blazer, because it's been a few days since I've ridden it, and man, I got massacred. But I used to work in automotive, and Ram mounts was the industry standard. But what works in a police car doesn't necessarily work on a trail bike. Man, I could really use that web blazer. This is bulky, heavy, difficult to install, not very secure. I wouldn't even recommend it for a road bike because you could get for cheaper any of those other products that we reviewed in the other video. So if you're looking for a phone mount, I suggest you watch that video. I'll put a link below. So our next product is a workshop and tool related product. This is a magnet that you can put in different places to hold tools and bolts and screws. Let's check out the small one first. So it feels very squishy. It goes in your pocket, and then I guess you could stick metal things here. And wow, that's pretty strong actually. I'm surprised because this really just feels like a piece of foam. It's not heavy or anything, and it's got a surprisingly strong magnet in it. Let me see if I can hold tools. It's my pick. That's kind of cool. I'm like blown away right now. I'm gonna try some heavier items. Oh my God. It's like really on there too. No way. That's crazy, man. It's like really on there. It's like the bigger and thicker the piece of metal, the better it sticks. I can't even criticize this product. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just freaking draw. Let's see what else we have here in the bin. This from Psychological Gripster, the bike solution that is a little bit off the wall. Now there's a picture of a road bike leaning against the wall with the Gripster on it. So it's to lean your bike against the wall. Let's take one of these out of the package. And yeah, feels almost like what you would make a plunger out of. Yeah, let's go check it out. You take and put on the end of the handlebars, I guess like this, and then man, I love little inventions that solve all sorts of problems, and I love entrepreneurs and inventors and stuff, but to me, this is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. It's not something I would use, let's put it that way. But Gripster, it's there if you're looking for something like this. All right, we've had a lot of mixed reviews today. I hope this starts to get a little bit better. On to the next one, imprint grips. Custom moldable grips. Heat, grip, ride. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you heat these grips up, you squeeze the hot grip and it molds to your hand, then it cools off and it stays molded to the shape of your hand. And that's supposed to give you better grip. So let's see if that is the case. Even if these don't end up being very good grips, it's like a fun science project to do with your kids. Okay, here comes the reveal. It actually feels really good. It reminds me a little bit of Ergon grips, how they're kind of shaped to fit your hand. So I'll mold the left one, install it the same way, and then I guess we can take it out for a test. They feel pretty good. I like them, but I definitely don't like them better than Ergon grips. I don't like them better than the Rev grips. What I don't like is how gummy the rubber is. I like a more sturdy feeling rubber on the grips. So I don't think these are for me, but they're not a bad product. The process by which they get molded is pretty well thought out. They're just not for me. I want to put my Ergons back on. Okay, we're back at the product bin. I just hope we find some more good stuff today. This is the squash screen. I can't tell you how many times I've been at a trailhead and I've had to change my clothes or something. And I know they make these big curtains and stuff for the back doors of vans and things, but I don't believe I've ever seen anything kind of marketed in this way. So let's see how difficult it is to use. Okay, the bag is attached to it. That's nice. Everything goes in one place. You don't have to keep track of anything. Oh, it's got magnets. That makes sense. You got yourself a little private changing room. Let's give this a try. It officially works unless any of you can see me right now. Did we just find a really good product? This is awesome. Yeah, it's pretty secure too. It's not, oh. So those are all the products we have for you today, but I have one more thing I want to show you. It's something that one of you made for us. It is a Berm Peak branding iron. A subscriber, TJ, sent this over and I'm gonna go try it out for the first time, and I think it'll be easiest to do on the pucker pad because there's some big flat areas and the wood's kind of new. So let's go see if it works there and we'll brand some other stuff. Here goes. All right, let's light a fire. Ooh. Okay, so we finally got a fire going. Branding iron's been in the fire for a while. I'm gonna run to the pucker pad with it and see if this works. And yeah, let's hope it makes a mark. Ah! Ah! Oh, I got a little bit of it off the edge, but I think that's gonna be okay. Whoa! That's so sick! Next time I'm gonna take a little bit more care about the angle and all that, but that came out sick. Those of you who follow the channel know that I'm a Park Tool fanboy, but the truth is the truth, Pedro's makes the best tire levers. Anybody who's used them knows they're stout, they're just the right shape, they're great for getting a tire off without damaging anything, and this is the micro version. So if you're tight on space, you're traveling, you have a nice little tire lever that has that same stout tip on it, like the original Pedro's tire lever. So because these levers are compact and are made for travel, they have a couple of other features that makes them really useful. First of all, you have a valve core wrench built into it right inside. So this will allow you to remove a Presta valve and replace it. These tire levers also have master link storage, so you can store a master link in here. So now you have these nice little travel size, stout, capable tire levers that have a valve core remover and a master link storage, and it's only $4.25. So if you're just looking to get yourself a gift, something for the bike, this is a great option. Like I said, Pedro's is my personal favorite tire lever, and just a mini version of the same thing. So it's very appropriate that our next product is Master Links, SRAM Master Links. They call them power locks. You can get them for 11 and 12 speed chains, and they come in packs of 4 for $13 and $14 respectively. So I'm gonna demonstrate what you can do with a Master Link. Pretty much all bike chains, they're one continuous loop. They're connected all the way around, but if something gets damaged on them, you have your chain tool. Now what do you do to fix it? I'm gonna demonstrate. First, we need to damage it. Yeah, she's proper hooped. So this is no longer a viable chain. Maybe you hit into a rock, maybe you put in a hard pedal stroke while shifting and something got mangled. You're gonna have to walk back to the trailhead unless you have a spare master link and pretty much any multi-tool. So we're gonna remove it from this side. Okay, so you see we're gonna remove all those broken parts of the chain. Now we're gonna remove the broken parts from this side. You can see this is all bent. Just gonna crack it loose. We have the chain, we have 2 healthy inside links. Once you're left with this, all you have to do is put it back together with the master link, and you just put them together. That's it. Once you start pedaling the bike, this is gonna snap together. If you pull it really hard, you can snap it together off the bike, but for $13 and $14, this is a really cheap item that everybody should have. If it's not a SRAM chain, these are probably still gonna work. So we're still gonna be in the inexpensive product category for a while, and the next one is something that I've been using increasingly more often in the shop, and that's this little Park Tool tape measure. It's only $5, and the reason why it's relevant is it has both imperial and metric on it. Bicycles can't really decide what they are, right? We have 2.75-inch tires, and then we have 800mm bars. You need both of those to measure. So not only is this gonna look at home in your bike shop, but it also has the things that you would expect from a tape measure, like a clip for your belt, little hook on the end, and you can lock it into place. So very simple. $5 for a Park Tool tape measure, and you got a legit measuring device for your home shop. So this next product is gonna help protect your bike from itself. These carbon mini shields by Bike Armor. This costs $8.99, and it comes with 8 of these mini shields. So instead of just using packaging tape or something to protect your bike from its cables, you can use these nice little carbon stick-ons. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Right over here, we've got cable down by the linkage that's always rubbing on the frame. It's worn straight through the paint. We're gonna take one of these. It's got adhesive on the back. You can just stick it there, and now the cable is gonna rub against the frame protector instead of your bike. So obviously there are lots of homebrew solutions like packaging tape that you could use to protect your frame, but these are good for a few reasons. First of all, they're purpose made, they're nice and thick, they look good on your frame, and plus, it's gonna make you feel like you know how to work on your bike, even if you don't know how. Peel this off, stick it on there, you just improve something for $8.99. So the next product is a tubeless repair kit by Lezyne. It's only $10, and I've reviewed kind of micro versions of tubeless repair kits in the past, many of them. It's always made so that it's easy to carry with you, it's easy to store on your bike. This isn't, it just has a really good handle and makes the repair really easy. So this is probably something that you would keep at home or maybe bring with you if you want a really capable tubeless kit. Before we go over the details of this, let me just recap how tubeless repair kits work. So first of all, you have these little plugs, very much like an automotive style kit, but just shrunk down. Then you have your applicator, and so we're gonna put this little plug in here, go all the way through. The way this installs, you get your tire that has some kind of a hole in it. You're gonna take your tubeless repair kit, jam it in there, see it gets pushed through that hole. Then you pull the applicator out. Now you're left with this big piece of gummy stuff where the hole was. Now your sealant splashes all over it and seals it up. And on the outside, you just have a little bit of plug sticking out, and that's gonna get worn away as you ride the trail. If you want a really capable tubeless repair kit, got this Lezyne one. It's got a real handle, it's got a real reamer, and only $10. So for this video, I really went out of my way to try and find a bunch of products that were in a really low price range so you could treat yourself, get gifts for people, and not really break the bank. And something I came across is this Dakine accessory pack. It's only $11.95. And this is for somebody who's carrying stuff in a bag, a hip pack, and wants to keep something else separate. So maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's small parts, tools, camera batteries, something like this. You have this additional pouch that's super lightweight and super low profile. Seems silly, a bag within a bag, but if you're like me and you like to keep really organized, you like to be able to get things and access things quickly, this is kind of a good thing to have, and only $11.95 for a really high quality one. Great gift or great thing to buy if you are obsessive compulsive like I am. So now we're gonna start stepping up in price a little bit. Maybe you know a very special mountain biker who wants a gift, or maybe you are special and you deserve it. These are POC joint VPD knee pads, and these are not only comfortable enough to pedal with, but also they have a fair amount of padding. This is gonna be able to take some impacts. So there is a Velcro strap just on the top of the pad. I also happen to think these pads look really good. Of course now, because I can't ride a bike, you've been seeing clips of the Team Savage Grom Squad demonstrating some of these products. A local race team run by Jeremy Savage. He's got the race team, and then he's got an outreach program where he helps people who don't always get to ride mountain bikes. They're demonstrating this, and as you can see, they look like superheroes with these pads on. So these particular pads are $80. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but for the comfort it's gonna afford you, you're never gonna avoid wearing them. And I think that 80 bucks is a small price to pay to protect your knees. So the next product is the POC Axion Spin Helmet, and if it looks like I'm reviewing a lot of POC safety products, it's no coincidence. I really like this stuff, and I've been running it personally myself. This is just like the helmet that I run, only it's got a little splash of color in it, and indeed, this is available in a lot of different colors. So there's a few advantages to this helmet. First of all, the stuff that I care about. It's comfortable and it breathes well. It's got a really great adjustment on the back. It's got a breakaway system for the visor, so if you crash, this is gonna break away from the actual helmet and not get in your way. And it's got all the hallmarks of a really high quality helmet. When you don't spend that much on a helmet, you end up having straps that are just twisting around and don't lay flat on your face. These are connected right at the top of the helmet and come down flat. It's got a really convenient adjuster here. You don't have to sit there and fiddle with it and mess with a whole bunch of straps. Everything about this helmet is refined. Now this helmet weighs in at 350 grams. That's a good weight for a helmet. Usually retails at $150, but right now it's 20% off for $119. Now I don't know enough about safety to tell you whether a $150 helmet is going to protect your head any more than a $30 helmet, but I do know this. It's a lot more enjoyable to ride with a helmet that fits well, isn't falling over your face, and provides some good ventilation when you're going down the trail. And so I do not cheap out on helmets anymore, and so far, the latest stuff from POC has been my favorite. So the next product is 200 bucks, and it is a bike stand for your house, your apartment, your garage, whatever, and I gotta put it together. So I guess I'm gonna get down on the floor and get my hands dirty. So just a few days ago, I told my wife that I cannot put together furniture, and now I just went and put this together in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I'll have you know it was a painful experience, but now she's gonna call me out on that. We were able to hold my dirt jump bike and my hardtail. Now, this is not gonna be a good solution for full suspension bikes. It's only gonna be good for gravel bikes, road bikes, hardtails. But it's very sturdy. It's remarkably sturdy. And I think we can owe some of that to the fact that it's got a good amount of weight to it. The feet are adjustable so you can get it flat on the floor. One of the things that sets this rack apart from other racks like it is the adjustability. Each individual arm can move up and down independently of the other. So if you have a weird shaped bike and you want it to sit a certain way, you can drop one arm, keep the other arm high. It's got these protective pads that are adjustable so that your frame doesn't get scratched, and it doesn't look bad. So if you're a hardtail enthusiast, you got some gravel bikes, road bikes, and a small space that you want to store them, this is gonna be a good product for you. So if you've been following my videos, you know that I love night riding, and we've reviewed bike lights almost up to $1,000. And it seems like you have to spend a lot to get a really good floodlight, one where you can just ride down the trail just like you would during the day. So for 200 bucks, the Power Mountain 2000 by Nog is a really good option. So you can just install this little bracket on the handlebar, and anytime you wanna go night riding, you can just slide this on and clip it into place, and then you can take it off and charge it. You don't have cables everywhere, you don't have a big external battery. Another good thing about the Power Mountain 2000 is it has a USB port that you can charge your phone with. So if you're out in the woods at night and you somehow get stranded, there are two things you don't want. You don't want your bike light to run out of battery, and you don't want your phone to run out of battery. So this has it all. And then the way that the light operates is with these little twists. And it's very refined. So you hold it to turn it on. Now you have full 2000 lumen light. You can go through the various brightness settings. And then there are various blink settings if you're using it on a road bike or to get home after your ride. So very elegant controls, nice little power meter there. Rugged metal design. This is as refined as any of the really expensive options that we've tested, and I'm thinking it might become my go-to light once I heal up and get back on the bike. For the price, it's something I'd really like to recommend, and the form factor really can't be beat. So this is my trusty race face tailgate pad, and out of all the products I've ever reviewed on the channel, this is probably the one that I've used the most. I rarely ever take it off my car. It's been sitting in the sun and in the rain and in all types of weather for about 3.5 years now, and it's due for replacement. All the little pieces that hold the bikes on have just dry rotted away, and yeah, they're no longer functional. Still works, still protects the tailgate just fine, but I thought it was high time we got some new tailgate pads to check out. So here we have two very similar tailgate pads that accomplish the same thing, but they're two very different prices. The Fox tailgate pad is 120 bucks, and the Thule tailgate pad is 179 bucks. So let's take a look at each one and see what the differences are. So the Fox tailgate cover, it's really clean looking because instead of the straps being on the top like my old tailgate cover, they're on the back because they strap around the down tube. One thing that's great about having the top all clean is that if you leave your tailgate pad on, you want to load something else like plywood, then all those straps aren't getting damaged and they're not in the way. Now these tailgate pads are almost always designed with the Tacoma in mind, and the bigger ones are usually designed with the F-150 and the Tundra in mind. Still, when I lift this up, I can get to my handle just fine and seems to fit my vehicle without a problem. So my old tailgate pad was made of ballistic nylon, which is porous and it collects water. Asheville is very rainy, probably not a good place for it. This is more of a vinyl pleather kind of material, and I think the water is gonna roll right off of it, which is kind of a plus. With that said, this is very, very basic. I feel in some ways even more basic than my old tailgate pad. It's bare bones, not gonna break the bank, but it is gonna keep your tailgate from getting scratched up, and it's gonna keep your bike secure when they're on here. Let's take a look at the more expensive option and see if you're getting anything more for your money. So the first thing I noticed about this more expensive Thule tailgate pad is that it's way more substantial. I mean, look at all these pads here. It's almost intimidating. Like, I just want a basic pad to put my bikes on, but let's strap it up on the vehicle and see if it's any different. Okay, this indeed took a little more futzing around than the Fox tailgate pad, but it's way over engineered and I like it. These protectors on the top and the front are really, really substantial. There's nothing that is going to damage this. And on this, you have the option of moving these straps wherever you want. So you could strap it to the bike here, you can move it all the way in here, have all these straps out of the way, and strap it to the down tube inside the tailgate like that other pad. So another great feature, Thule has left a whole bunch of space in this backup camera and tailgate handle area. So now I have use of my backup camera again. So this is a really, really nice feature. It's got these storage compartments in the back, and they actually have a pretty good amount of space. I say the only downside of this tailgate pad is that it doesn't have a cute picture of a fox on the right side, but otherwise it blows away the other one in every way. But they're both gonna protect your tailgate, they're both gonna keep your bike secure, and I think it's a must-have for anyone who mountain bikes that also has a pickup. Today we have a few new products to check out. The first one is a helmet for your hands. Geo hand guards attach to your handlebars and block your knuckles from branches and foliage encroaching on whatever backcountry trail you're riding. So they include this little shaft collar to keep it from going like this, you know, moving back and forth. If you tighten it all the way down, it doesn't clamp onto the bar, or at least it doesn't clamp onto my bars. When trying to install these, we found that the shaft collars were too large to use on my very ordinary alloy bars. And the expansion plugs were too small to work on Pat's not so common titanium bars. That's what keeps it from moving up and down.
I think we're bottomed out though.
With our soda can shims in place, Pat would test the Geo handguards in the most demanding of situations. Well, I guess this would have been me, so find your way down and I'll be down there with the gator to shuttle you back up. Still pretty safe, still, Pat's impressive fall line charge through moonshangle thickets was quite the spectacle, and his hands came out unscathed. Handguards are, in fact, a thing, and these are likely the burliest ones you can get. But unless you're strictly riding unmaintained backcountry trails, these are going to be a little much. And the installation problems were disappointing to say the least. So you might want to wait around for these to be updated if you're considering running them. This next product is just a Shimano bleed funnel, except it's made of stainless steel. Each bleed cup is made from a stainless steel shot glass and shoulder bolt that I drill out by hand on a lathe in my garage. I then tap some threads for the included plug and hand braze them together. This is easily the nicest bleed cup I've ever seen, so we're gonna use it. Normal bleed cup looks something like this. It's got a little plunger inside it, it's plastic, they work fine. If you wanna do a quick lever bleed, you just screw this in. We're out of baby oil, so I'm using Shimano mineral oil. And you watch the bubbles come out. When you're done, just like these ones, you have all this oil still in the cup, so you put the plunger in. Honestly, I wish he made the screw a little bit longer because I find myself kind of putting my hand down into the bleed cup. I honestly think this is like the best gift ever for somebody who works on their bikes. It's like a conversation piece. I don't even want to use that. I want to like put that on my shelf. That's something they're not going to get themselves. That's something they're never going to have seen before. That is really unique and cool. Well made, and it works. Next up is the Boondoo mount. A GoPro mount that can be adjusted in any direction with a push of one convenient button. This looks really nice. It's kind of heavy. Let's test it out. While it feels solid and the idea is great, the Boondoo mount couldn't even manage to keep our Hero session stable.
So I heard something while I'm riding, and I think it's this movement here where it kind of can snap up and over.
It did come with a spanner wrench where you can actually tighten this down, but that doesn't affect this whatsoever. As somebody who does this professionally and uses GoPros a lot, I've had a lot of shots ruined because of cheap GoPro mounts or imperfect GoPro mounts. I'd say it's great for filming at a workbench or something like that, but not on an athlete's helmet where it's sure to wobble and make noise. Next up is the DNR Kit tool, which is a handlebar alignment gauge. So when you're installing your stem and handlebars, they can actually move independent of the wheel. And so it's up to you to line it up right, and everybody does it by eye. We've done it by eye for as long as bicycles have existed. And then of course the next day you're riding down the trail and you look down and you say, it looks like it's a little bit this way. So we're gonna kind of center it. Doesn't have to be totally perfect, but you want to get it centered as much as you can. Then you use this bottom part to line up to your stanchions. Okay, it needs to come a little bit this way. It's perfect. Yeah, they are. That really works. Sometimes you have a really picky customer, they might second guess you or they might insist that it's not straight. And if you use this gauge in front of them, argument over. So the DNR Kit tool does exactly what it promises, in style. Nevertheless, most will still choose to approximate their bar alignment like we've been doing since the dawn of recorded history. Here we have the Sound Helm, a stereo system for your helmet that promises a private, open-air listening experience. You don't want to be that guy with the Bluetooth speaker on the trails, right?
Where does it go? Does it go up here?
Yeah, it goes just like that.
That's actually more solid than I was expecting. So this is supposed to go on and come off with an adhesive.
I guess you plug in your helmet.
The whole helmet gets plugged in.
The whole helmet gets plugged in for charging, yeah.
Plug in your dropper post, plug in your helmet now.
That's like pretty loud to you, right?
Not really.
It sounds good.
It doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, if I was a bike length behind you pedaling, I wouldn't hear that.
Right.
You know?
I've been all in my bag. You been all in my business. You be all in your feelings.
Let's pick something that's not so aggressive.
If I slide by you.
No, I didn't notice.
So you're telling me that a freehub body is more annoying than my music?
We live in an age where tiny, independent earbuds with many hours of battery life can be had for under $100. So the Sound Helm falls short with its 3-piece wired setup and $160 price. Still, Pat really likes it. and he says he'll continue to use this one for commuting. The Bomber Strap is a single bike tailgate pad that we've reviewed before, and I actually travel with it. But version 2.0 claims to be better in all areas. So you put a bike up on it, strap it down, and now once you're done doing all this strapping, the tire still hits into the car. So in the original one, they included a strap to keep your handlebar like this. And I lost a strap, everybody lost that strap, and so you just end up with a permanent mark on your car like I have right here. The new Bomber Strap, it looks like it comes with that same strap. So the new one's a little easier to strap down. You just take this piece right here, locks in there magnetically, and then you do that. When you want to take it off, you just pull that and it comes off. It's actually really, really good system. While the new Bomber Strap is absolutely better than the old one, it's still not so good a value compared to a full tailgate pad. And in my opinion, it's only really good for traveling. It's a high quality, well-designed product that only a select few people will find useful. And I'm one of them. The next two products were packaged together. There's Simple Shower, which is a shower head that connects to a soda bottle, and then the Shower Toga, which I'm perplexed by. I'm still trying to figure out what this is even for. Okay, so I stand inside of this so that people can't see my genitals. And then I can just wash myself, like no problem. I guess if you just want to take a shower from here up, I don't think this is a good product for mountain bikers. I think that this might be a good product for mountain bikers, and a squash screen so that you can hide behind your car door or hide behind a tree or something like that. If you don't have access to a car or a shower, you're in the woods. What do you need this for? Let me start by disclosing that I am extremely biased against saddle covers. The reason that your butt hurts after you ride is because you don't ride enough. The more you ride, the less your butt hurts. I know people who don't even wear padded shorts or anything all day. Don't get tricked into getting a saddle cover. With that said, this looks like a slightly more advanced saddle cover. This is very, very light and thin. This is not like saddle covers that I've been used to seeing. It's got this sort of mesh in there, almost like a honeycomb. This might be better than I originally thought. This is definitely low profile. Now, what I don't like about it is that it's made of this grippy material. And a saddle should be made of smooth material so that your leg can slide back and forth. What happens with the grippy material is that you end up chafing your leg. But I'm gonna sit down on this and take it for a little pedal and we'll see how it feels. I don't know why you would spend half the cost of a new saddle to put padding on your saddle. If you're actually riding your bike in the woods, which is what this is marketed for, it's marketed like for a racing saddle, you're not gonna put a saddle cover on it. You want that narrow, firm saddle. I still don't recommend you get a saddle cover. Try going on like 4 or 5 rides and then taking a break and then get back on your bike and tell me if your butt hurts. So the next product is called the Mule, and this is designed for racers who want to be able to repair a flat as quickly as possible. It's designed for speed above all else. This holder right here holds the CO2 with a magnet. We're gonna see if that's strong enough. This is your plug applicator, and it's also held in with a magnet. So you're supposed to pre-install a plug into it, and boom, it's ready to go. So you're supposed to mount this up on your handlebars, and you're supposed to mount the CO2 somewhere else on the bike. I must admit, I am skeptical about holding a CO2 cartridge to the bike with a magnet. It just seems like this is gonna come out. It really does, but we're gonna find out. As for the CO2, you really have to pull on it to get it loose. I guess we'll send a slopestyle course on my hardtail, so it's gonna get spicy.
Dude,
I took the wrong line.
look at that. It's the,
Everything's on.
everything's on. Where's the
I was trying to
handlebar?
escape from Oscar. All right, I sent it pretty hard and went through the rock garden on a hardtail. Everything's exactly where I left it. I'm impressed. Okay, so we'll do a little dramatization. So you realize that you have a flat. Oh crap, okay. Okay, it's coming out here, boom. Okay, you definitely have your plug, the fastest of any product I've seen. Boom! Boom! Now you have your CO2 as fast as possible. This is pretty good. I'm especially impressed by how strong the magnet is. You could just use that as your permanent CO2 holder and it's never gonna come off. Products are designed to do all sorts of different things. Some of them are designed to look good. Some of them are designed to have lots of features. This is designed to be fast. For a racer, I think this would be really good and it absolutely does everything it says. So yeah, good job. So on almost every mountain bike, there is a stem cap. It's this cap that goes on the top of the stem to tighten down the bearings in your headset. And because it's easy to remove, reinstall, there are lots of products that kind of fit on the stem cap. Now the first one is not a stem cap, it's a stem captain. Now, if you haven't figured out already, it's just an analog clock that goes in your stem. Now, normally I would think this is really cheesy, but it's really well made. They have a separate piece that locks on. They have a set screw in the side. They have a beautiful chrome plating that goes around the clock. Look, they even have that very satisfying film that covers it up so that you can have it brand new. I mean, look at that. So that goes there. We put our top bolt in there, tighten that down. Oh, that's gone forever. I saw it hit the ground. Oh, I found it. Check it out. It's actually a nice set screw. They really turned up the class on this whole thing. So we're gonna put on our stem cap. I'm sorry, stem captain right here. Wow, it's tight fit. What more is there to say about the stem captain? It's classy, it's solid, it's machined. You always know what time it is. That should be their motto, stem captain. You know what time it is. This is a cool way to be totally hands-free and know you're getting back before your lunch break. I think that's cool. You don't have to, that's my opinion, but yeah, stem captain, pretty sweet looking product. It's pomegranate juice. Actually, this is like pomegranate cider, and it's disgusting. You'd have to pay me to drink. I'm actually being paid right now. So the next product is also a stem cap product. It holds an Apple AirTag. So it looks like this, it's just this little puck. And the fact that this can be used as a security device in your bike is pretty cool because most people would not suspect that you have some kind of an AirTag in your stem cap. We put this stem cap holder into the bike. It sticks up a lot like the stem captain, maybe a little more because it's got a whole AirTag inside of it. They give you this little thing to secure it. Now your AirTag is totally out in the open, but it doesn't look like an AirTag and it's actually tracking your bike. Okay, so Kevin, you go and hide the bike. Let's see if I can find it. Searching for signals. So now I gotta go outside, see if it can pick up a signal. Okay, it's connected, we're getting closer. Okay, it says it's 13 feet to my right. If I were to take a wild guess, I would say it's behind the landing right over here, but let's get closer. And there it is, there's my bike, 3 feet nearby. So I don't think this is gonna replace like a GPS tracker or something like that. The product is cool, it's well designed, it's low profile, it's made of metal. I just don't know how effective it's gonna be if your bike actually gets stolen. I give it a undecided, but it's well designed. Okay, so you're trail building. How many times do you do this? Because you got crap inside your shoes. Introducing the Bandits. So this fits over your normal shoes and keeps debris from going inside of it while you're trail building. And it was actually invented by a builder up in New York. I've ridden a lot of trails that he's built, and so I really wanted to review this. So you can see it's made of like a strong kind of denim material, but it's still pretty lightweight. You take both these hooks and then you hook them into your bottom lace. So this goes under, seems like that would get pretty dirty. And then this one barely fits for me because I got these big daddy calves. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave one Bandit on and the other shoe I'm gonna leave with nothing. And we're gonna do a little bit of trail building. All right, so that was about a minute of trail building. Let's do a little damage check here. So this shoe, yeah, I got a little loam inside it. Needless to say, there's nothing underneath the Bandits. My shoes are pretty clean. The Bandits themselves you're probably gonna wanna shake out, let dry, maybe even put in the washer. But you know, the best part is it's really comfortable. I like trail building in sneakers because I like to be able to hop on my bike and test something. Main criticisms about the Bandits is this bottom strap going to get worn away? Because you're just stepping on it every single time. I'm not gonna say I have a better solution for it because I don't. Cool product, and much love to the creator. So the next product is a tubeless valve stem, except it's Schrader. This Schrader valve is supposed to go tubeless. It's made by Miles Wide, very nicely constructed, very nice finish, and they included this Everclear rim tape. It says make any rim tubeless. Let's just see if we can use this rim tape and this to make this old 26-inch wheel from the 90s tubeless. So we've got this taped up as best as I could. Let's install the valve stem. Make a couple of cuts in there. We're gonna push this through, little rubber O-ring, and then we're gonna tighten it down. Although this doesn't really want to tighten down because this is a single walled rim. Something tells me this is not gonna go. I think it's make any rim tubeless, but probably not make any tire tubeless. They probably want you to use a tubeless tire, but let's see how this works. Let's get pumping. I mean, I can't even get it slightly to seat. It's not airtight. I just find it odd that they would make a blanket statement, make any rim tubeless. It doesn't appear to be much different from other rim tape that I've used. But if you search YouTube for ghetto tubeless, you have to wrap tape around the rim so many times that it builds up to the point that it creates a seal. And I believe that this would work for that, because what I'm finding with this Schrader valve, although the rest of it was a complete fail, it's not clogged up with sealant at all. I mean, the air is just going through it completely freely and nicely. If you are doing one of those custom tubeless jobs, this is the valve you want to use. It's got nice big portholes and it looks good. And so I don't know what to tell you about this product. It's gonna have a really limited appeal. Although it doesn't work for what I'm trying to do right now, this is a pretty nice tubeless valve stem if you need a Schrader one. Gonna apply to 0.00001% of the audience. So next product. Kids Ride shotgun seat. I assume people are sending me stuff like this now because they realize that I had a little baby daughter. Of course, one of these days I'm gonna wanna take her out on my mountain bike if my wife lets me. So let's see what's going on inside of here. Now, I'm gonna start by saying that I don't know a lot about this stuff. I believe another company came up with this concept first. And so this is not like an invention, but it is their own design. Basically what it lets you do is put this little seat up at the front of your bike with handlebars and everything, sit your kid down on it so they're in front of you. Really impressive packaging. The parts are reasonably lightweight too. So this is attached to your handlebars and they're like, bleh! And then here is the seat. Nice and soft, nothing special. Ooh, okay. The rest of it was pretty lightweight. This is not lightweight, but I think it has a very important job to do. So, because my baby daughter is not really big enough to do this yet, we're gonna put it on Kevin's bike and use that to test it. Yeah, little baby bars. Yeah, little tiny baby saddle. All right, I guess we'll try her out. Okay. Oscar, you better get the hell out of the way, dog. I'm with it, I'm ready. Oh yeah! Oh, you're pedaling? You're trying to go faster? Dude, we're dead! We're dead if you don't stop! Oh! All right, so thoughts on this thing. It's probably the single worst product I've ever used in the history of product reviews. It's uncomfortable, it's terrifying, it moves all over the place. I can't even use the foot pegs because I'm too scrunched up. Now, how it would work for a 2-year-old actually seems like it'd be pretty good. The seat's got plenty of padding. These seem to be the right distance. Yeah, if you want to double up on how many people you can carry on your bike, this is a pretty bad way to do it if you're talking adults. So the next product is a lithium-ion air pump. I'm interested in how it works for bikes. Does have a Presta valve at the end, which is a nice touch. You can take it off. Then you have Schrader that could be used for your car. So nicely designed product, but Does it pump enough air to be useful? So we're gonna find out. I just wanna see if it inflates fast enough to seat a tubeless tire, because I know that a floor pump does. Now, another cool thing about this pump is it costs as much as a floor pump. It's 40 bucks. Not a bad price. It's rechargeable with USB-C. Big plus, that micro B crap shouldn't even exist anymore. And you can see there's a nice little readout for your air pressure. Ooh, nice little light, so if you're working at night. Not very bright. I think my phone light is brighter than that. Okay, so there are a bunch of different presets, like basketball, 8 PSI, car tire, 35 PSI, bicycle, 45 PSI. So I'm actually gonna lower that down to what a tubeless tire is gonna be at. So we're gonna go down to 20. Put this little guy on here. You just press this button once. I'm not so sure it's faster than a high volume floor pump. I'm sure we're gonna edit this down and it's not gonna be in real time, but it's already been like a minute. Okay, so that worked. Pretty freaking slow. Let's do the same thing with a floor pump and see how long it takes. Okay, so we're at 0 PSI.
Pump's usually like a PSI and a half. You're there.
Okay, that was like a fraction of the time. So this is not a replacement for a floor pump. If you really need the do-it-all tool, you still need to have a floor pump with you. But I do like the feature of being able to just set the pressure and just walk away. Pretty decently designed, looks nice, feels nice, seems to hold a charge, but like, I'm speaking to a biking audience. This is not gonna be useful at all. Just get a good floor pump. All this is gonna do is save you the energy of using a hand pump yourself. A lot of us prefer riding our bikes naked. Well, without a backpack, I mean. Sometimes this means strapping a few items to your bike, and lately this Dakine Hot Laps gripper has been my go-to. It can easily hold a tube, valve stems, CO2, an inflator, a multi-tool, and even a little more. The reason it's called the gripper is because of this rubber stuff on the back that keeps it from sliding around your frame. I've ridden everywhere from North Carolina to Whistler with this thing, and I can tell you it stays put. This long strap lets you cinch the bag down really tight. The drawback, or advantage depending on how you look at it, is that the strap also keeps the bag closed. So to access the stuff inside, you need to unstrap it. Still, it's quick, secure, tidy looking, and only costs $24. There's not much to complain about. Here's another bag you can strap to your bike frame. The Underdog Down Tube Bag by Trout Moose. Although it's called a down tube bag, you can actually fit this thing most anywhere on your frame. And like the Hot Laps gripper, it has this rubbery stuff on the back to help keep it in place. It also has a really long strap that lets you cinch it down and make a full pass around the bag. But the main selling point of the Underdog bag is that it's a dry bag. On a ride with lots of river crossings, you could pack camera batteries, your cell phone, and other items in here and totally submerge it. Like the Dakine Hot Laps gripper, this needs to be unstrapped to access the compartment. But the Underdog also needs to be unbuckled and unrolled. It's also more expensive at $45, and for that, all you're really getting is water resistance. This is going to appeal more to bike packers who really need that functionality. But for everyone else, I think Dakine's bag is tidier and a much better value. Speaking of niche items, here's a tool that promises to make working on wheels and tires a little easier, and in some cases, less messy. The Park Tool WH1. I'm pretty sure WH stands for wheel holder, and that's exactly what this does. The WH1 mounts to your workbench, and includes a fixed through axle that can be dropped into different positions to hold your wheel in place. This really comes in handy more than you would think. From setting up a new tire with sealant to mounting a brake rotor, the WH1 definitely makes the job about 8% easier. But it has some downsides that will limit its appeal. First of all, it's $99. That's a lot for a consumer to spend on a wheel holder, but not a lot for a shop that sees dozens of wheels per day. Since you need to account for the diameter of a wheel, the WH1 can take up more space than a vise and a bench grinder combined. That's a lot of bench real estate for something that shops have existed without for the better part of a century. So, Park added the ability to clamp it to the bench or stick it in a vise. I must say it's a clever tool, one that I could personally survive without, but may save a lot of time in high-volume shops. Here's another product designed for bike shops, the Grandstand Bike Display Stand. I already showed you how to make a bike stand out of scrap 2x4s for basically free. So this is not a problem that warrants a big investment, unless you're concerned with aesthetics. The Grandstand is very nice looking, and also very heavy. It has grips for the floor and fits everything from road bike wheels to mountain bike plus tires. Because the Grandstand is made for displays, each unit comes with an arm that can link multiple units together, making for some interesting arrangements. The arms also provide a bit of stability. I'll be using 4 of these as guest spots next to my workbench, and in the coming months they'll be getting a lot of use. With that being said, these were sent to me for review. If I had to spend my own money on an arrangement like this, I'd probably build something out of wood instead. But that's kind of the look I'm going for in here. At $65, these cost just a little more than competing products and are a lot more polished. Mostly bike shops are going to buy these, but if you're into displaying your bikes, they might be worth a look. This next product is from Circle Square Diamond. It's a decorative trail map that you can buy for one of many trail systems, mainly for lift access bike parks and ski resorts. I'm including them in this video because I bought a whole bunch of them for my shop build. And since then, the company's been adding a lot more pedal trail systems. To be clear, these are sold as prints, not with the frames. Before I placed my initial order all the way back in June, I saw that they had a map for DuPont State Forest, but not for Pisgah National Forest, which is a larger trail system only minutes away. I emailed them and they added it. They had no idea I had a large YouTube channel, but after purchasing those prints and featuring them on my build video, they must have found out because they sent me this. It's an impressively accurate map of Berm Creek, printed on canvas. For those of you who don't know, this is the trail system at my old house. So there's not much else to say about these prints other than the fact that they look really good and they're made by a really cool company. Here's a product for cleaning yourself and your bike off. It's called the Crud Cloth. It's a washcloth that's pre-moistened with soapy water, infused with hippie oil. That's shorthand for all this stuff. The directions say to wipe yourself off with it and then use the soiled cloth to wash off your bike. The only disposable part of the Crud Cloth is the plastic it's wrapped with. The rest can be washed and reused. But once you've done that, it's a regular washcloth. This begs the question, why not keep some regular washcloths around? Even with all the hippie oil this thing has in it, you're still gonna jump in the shower when you get home. So I think the Crud Cloth is good to leave in your glove box and forget about. Someday you'll need a damp cloth in the worst way, and this thing will save your life. But for after a bike ride, I can think of cheaper, more sustainable ways to wash yourself off. Next up is a product from our friends at Helmetor, the makers of these little helmet hooks. Their new product is called the Hub, which is a hook for all of your gear. You mount it to your wall with the included hardware, and then you can hang your gloves, helmet, shoes, and whatever else you want all in one place. You can't even pretend like that's not clever. Now let's be honest, this stuff is more than just a little bit goofy, and it isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. But it's well thought out, solid, and does what it's supposed to. So if you want a giant Helmetor logo on your wall with a spot for all your gear, you know where to get it. In another product review video, I featured this gem, which has since saved my life several times. The company, Potty Packs, makes a host of products you should hope to never need. For instance, they sent me this tick kit, which is an emergency tick removal kit. Luckily, I don't have a real tick embedded in me to demonstrate with, but I worked something out just for this video. Inside the tick kit are a pair of tweezers to remove said tick, a tick storage bag so you can submit it for testing, and some first aid supplies. The kit also comes with insect repellent, I assume to prevent more ticks. Ticks can be a serious matter, especially if they actually embed themselves in your skin. But I'm not totally sold on this kit. If you're actually prepared enough to carry a tick kit, you would probably have a first aid kit. Which brings us to the next product from the same company, the first aid kit. While the name isn't so creative, the first aid kit is actually a good idea. As is the case with things you hope to never use, nobody wants to carry a first aid kit. But this one is small enough to be completely negligible. When riding naked like I prefer to do, Even a mini first aid kit like this one would require that I wear a backpack, so I generally don't carry one. This can be stored anywhere, including those 2 on-bike packs featured earlier in this video. The kit is missing some important items like butterfly closures, but it does have bandages, gauze, antiseptic wipes, and aspirin. It's certainly better than nothing, and it might just be the only first aid kit you actually take with you. So, we've been cutting some trail up here on Berm Peak, and I've been using some new tools. Let's take a look at some of them and see how they've been holding up. First up are these Fiskars loppers, which are designed to cut branches 2 inches or smaller. I'm not gonna lie, it was a 2-inch plus branch that caused these to bind up and damage the cutter. But these bad boys are still going strong. Even with a damaged blade, it takes very little effort to muscle these things through limbs. And I can't deny that they were worth every bit of $40. Like most loppers, these are a little awkward to use on smaller stuff since you still need to open the handle so wide. But that's even more apparent on these since they have this gear that gives you more leverage. Since buying these a couple months back, they've been left outside and put through a lot more abuse than a typical homeowner would subject them to. So it'll be interesting to see if they survive another season. Next up are these machetes. I have 2 because sometimes I have friends over. Everyone wants to use this one, which I call the Cricket because it's made by CRKT. It's clearly the better of the 2 in pretty much every way. It cuts better, holds an edge for longer, and has a more ergonomic handle, but it's also almost twice the cost at $50. For that, you're obviously getting pretty good steel, and a great factory edge that's still going strong. It also comes with a sheath, which I prefer not to use. If I were to get an additional machete, it would be another one of these, but that doesn't mean I don't like the other one. This $30 machete is made by Cold Steel, which may ring a bell. They have this YouTube channel where they demonstrate products like these, barbarically. I doubt they're using the factory edge to cut this rope or any of this other stuff, as it comes pretty blunt. But with a little sharpening, this thing is no joke. It has a lot of weight to it, which adds to its destructive power, and the flat end kind of doubles as a rake. When friends come over, this is usually the machete I reach for, and it's for a pretty shallow reason. I think it looks cool. The blunt end just looks super brutal. It does take a couple more swings to get the job done, but I like it anyway. First, we have the Blackburn Outpost cargo carrier, which is sort of like a luggage rack for your bottle cage mount. This is probably a good accessory for gravel bikes, but I tested mine on the down tube of my fat bike, which wouldn't be a great spot in wet conditions. The Outpost mounts just like any bottle cage, but it's definitely heavier and stiffer. It's sturdy, but not particularly lightweight. Cargo is held in place with 2 straps, which worked very well, but Blackburn didn't provide an obvious way to secure the loose ends. You can find these for $20 to $30, which is less than many standard bottle cages. So for the price, this is a good product for adventurers looking to add some extra storage to their bikes. Next we have Follow Hollow alpaca socks, which are being marketed towards mountain bikers. They're made from alpaca wool, 80% of which is actually from baby alpaca, for its superior alpacaness. Now, despite their amicable appearance and demeanor, alpaca are actually super gnarly and difficult to shear. Or at least that's my assumption, because they're charging $25 a pair for these. The company included 2 pages worth of alpaca wool benefits, which include warmth, durability, and water repellency. And in practice, these all seem to hold true. Even when compared to other cycling socks, these alpaca socks clearly do better with moisture. So if that's your chief concern, these may be worth it. Besides the price, my one complaint is that these socks are kind of boring. Cycling socks will typically have a bit more personality. So these socks are good, but unless water resistance is worth the premium to you, there are vegan socks that get the job done just fine for a fraction of the price. The next product is a jack stand for your handlebars. Now, I'm probably not the only one who works on my bike upside down when there's no repair stand available. And in a very old video, I even showed how to prop up your bars to keep your accessories free and clear of the ground. Needless to say, this doesn't require a whole lot of engineering to accomplish, since you can prop your bike up on just about anything. That makes the handlebar jack hilariously over-engineered. These jack stands operate with the precision of Swiss watches. They fold out like little tripods, strapped to the bars that keep from tipping over, and even snap together magnetically so you don't lose them. But do we need these? I mean, maybe? I guess if you're particular about scratching up your cockpit and don't have the space for a repair stand, these are still ridiculous, and $30. I wouldn't buy these for any price, but there's likely a niche user who would. If you happen to be that niche user, you'll be blown away by how well designed and effective these are. Now for a few products from Topeka. First is the Headlux Dual USB, which is a rechargeable headlight with a built-in taillight. Now this doesn't provide enough light for nighttime shredding, but if you get stuck after sundown, it's enough to get you home. And it makes you really visible to motorists during the road portion of your ride. As you would imagine, this light has several modes, including a bright setting that lasts for over 3 hours. But it's the tiny form factor and built-in taillight that makes this product worth talking about. I would consider leaving this on my helmet semi-permanently. At $30, this is truly a great rechargeable safety light, maybe even the best for the money considering its features and form factor. But unfortunately for Topeka, this next product of theirs didn't do so well. The Air Booster G2 looks like a very well-designed CO2 inflator. It has a gauge, which is rare, a separate storage thread for a spare cartridge, and a very nice mechanical valve. Whoa! I was able to get it to inflate, but this thing is stuck. No, cartridge is spent. This is stuck here, one use, and it's not working. Although this did successfully inflate my tire, CO2 bled into the gauge and became dry ice. Since then, the gauge has been stuck at 70 psi. Now, to be fair, no product has a 0% failure rate, so we'll try again with a new one someday and see if this was a fluke. The next product is a digital tire pressure gauge with an air input. This means you can use it as a standalone gauge or as a digital air chuck for any pump. The shuttle digital gauge has a rotating head, locks in place with a very sturdy lever, and works with Presta or Schrader valves on both ends. My only complaint is that it takes a few seconds to boot up, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but I notice it every time I turn it on. It's also over $60, which is an insane premium over other digital gauges. I'll buy at bulkier ones with fewer features. Nevertheless, I will be keeping the shuttle digital gauge in my flight bag for its flexibility. The next product is Rogue Hose, which we've been using a lot for trail building on Berm Peak. What I find with most hose is that you just can't trust them, but Rogue Hose are made from high-grade tempered steel. They are sharpened thoroughly from the factory and actually hold an edge impressively well. Rogue Hose are available in a lot of different styles, but the Hoe Rake combo is my favorite. It resembles a McLeod, but slices through roots like they're not even there. It also has a totally flat underside without any rivets or indents, which makes it really good for compacting. If you're cutting bench on rooty soil like we have here on Berm Peak, this is kind of the only tool you need, and it makes the job a lot more enjoyable. Depending on what style you get and whether you go with a fiberglass or hickory handle, these range from $40 to $90. That's more than you'll pay for a basic hoe at your local hardware store, but I'm willing to bet this is a lot better. The next product is an $11 mini floor pump, and the reason I picked one up for review is that it resembles a $30 mini floor pump I reviewed last year, which resembles a $60 mini floor pump made by Lezyne. That means this could be considered a knockoff of a knockoff, and therefore we've got to see it. And it's about what you would expect. The Has-Been mini floor pump is a floor pump the size of a hand pump, which makes it super portable. And according to that Topeka shuttle gauge, it actually works. Judging by how chintzy it feels, I wouldn't want to rely on this for high-pressure road tires. But for anything below 30 psi, it operates fairly effortlessly. Also, it surprisingly works with Presta valves without any adapters. Although this has been working, I can't see it lasting long, and therefore, I'll keep using my other knockoff mini floor pump. The next product is hands down the most compact tripod in existence. And if you know someone who posts videos of themselves mountain biking, this is a great gift for them. The Joby Grip-Tight 1 comes with a tiny collapsible tripod that actually tilts in whatever direction you want. It also comes with a collapsible phone holder which neatly folds up against the stand, making it insanely small enough to always have with you. But it comes at a price, $30 for this tiny little thing. But it's the only tripod I've seen that's this small. So for mountain bikers or any adventurer, it's a great travel accessory. The last product is also the most expensive one. The DD Airbag's Next Step Lander. Most of you have seen this already, but I'm finally going to give you my thoughts on it. The Next Step Lander is a 6.5 foot tall, 11.5 foot wide, 21.5 foot long, $3,850 airbag lander. Stuff like this used to cost tens of thousands of dollars, but the Next Step Lander costs as much as a nice trail bike. Its price includes shipping and the blower to keep it inflated. You're also going to need a long extension cord and a serious hand truck to move this thing around. One reasonably capable person can set up the Next Step Lander, but putting it back in its bag is like packing up an inflatable mattress times 100. Of course, the purpose of this lander is for learning tricks without breaking bones. You can make a mistake on this thing and walk away from it without a scratch. Of course, that doesn't help if your bike lands on you, or if you miss the landing altogether. For me, the major benefit beyond the safety part is just having an instant landing wherever you want. We have the setup of this truly enormous device down to about 10 minutes now. I love my airbag lander, but I predict you'll be able to buy these landers for about half the price over the next few years. For instance, this bag on AliExpress is about $2,500 once you pay for customs and shipping. But we have no idea if it's any good. So I think the Next Step Lander is priced fairly since DD already did their homework and sourced a good lander. Still, this is going to be a tough sell if you want your parents to put one of these under the tree. So these are the Zoom brakes on the Kent Travail. These were under $70. They're hydraulic. They transformed the Kent Travail. They were amazing, amazing value. I would buy them again. In all the times I've used them really hard and they performed admirably. They still feel amazing, but they're not even close to the best value in brakes. That honor would go to the Shimano MT200s and 201s. Front and rear levers and calipers, brake pads filled up with fluid, $55 delivered, and they're made by Shimano. Not only are they made by Shimano, but they're some of the best Shimano brakes ever made in terms of reliability. I will, on the regular, meet people who have like 4-year-old entry-level bikes that these come on, and they have not done one single thing to them. They have not bled them once. They still work fine. These are simple, reliable, powerful, and they're cheap. So why did I use the Zoom brakes on the Kent Travail? Why didn't I buy these? Well, during the pandemic, they cost like 3 times as much for some reason when you could get them. Yeah, $129 to $159, that's like pandemic prices right there. But recently I placed an order on Amazon. It looked weird, it looked suspect. $55, how does it get any better than that? But yeah, they arrived looking brand new, working fine. This is the best upgrade that you could give a bike that doesn't have hydraulic disc brakes. So your stem, it's an important part of your bike, especially if you're a really heavy rider or you ride really hard. That's kind of important, right? If your stem breaks or the little bolts snap on your stem, your handlebars are gonna break loose and you're gonna smash your face into something really hard and sharp. And so, what does a good stem cost? $90, $130? Well, how about 30 to 50 bucks? $39.95. Truvative stems, which are made by SRAM, are in the $30 to $50 range, and they're plenty strong. They're not like the lightest, highest performance stems in the world, but I have one over here on a really high-end bike, and it's like a $40 stem. It's not even that heavy. And while you can absolutely find $13 stems on Amazon, if you are a full-grown man that is riding over rocks and hitting jumps, you should probably not have that on your bike. $8. Your life is worth $8. It's extraordinary. Maybe a 90-pound kid that's riding cross-country, fine. I have one on the tall bike, but if you're doing any kind of real hard mountain biking, you don't want a $13 stem on your bike, but you also might not want to spend 90 bucks or 150 bucks for a chunk of aluminum with 4 bolts in it. So I use these on a lot of flip bikes because they're the cheapest, but there are lighter models that are a little bit more. So yeah, really reputable, trustworthy option for a cheap stem. Other companies know they can get more for their stems, but yeah, these remain a really good value. So while I have this bike up here, there's another product on it, PNW dropper post. Now PNW makes a lot of different dropper posts. They're all of good value. In fact, anytime you see a review or a video on dropper post, there's somebody in the comments that's like, love my PNW dropper post, was only 200 bucks. They have models down to $99. And not only is it a good dropper post, but it's made by a real bike company, and by that I mean it's staffed by mountain bikers. Now, their philosophy is bring your own lever, and so most of these come without a lever. You can purchase it separately. Their cheapest lever is $30, but you can get them on Amazon for like $13, or maybe you're replacing your old dropper post and you already have a lever. They're also cool because you can customize them, and so this spot over here has a little band that you can insert to color match your bike. They do the same thing with the levers. Now, there are other dropper posts out there of great value. KindShock, KS, they have some really good dropper posts for cheap, but I think PNW really stands out because they have a wide range of posts. They're all inexpensive and they're cool. You can color match them. They're like fun, interesting posts. And so I think if you're looking to upgrade and get your first dropper post, PNW is kind of a no-brainer. So now we have the Kent Travail back up on the stand, and it's here because I want to talk about 3 things that are on this bike. The first being the crankset. Now, I've mentioned this multiple times already. It's a crankset, a bottom bracket, and a single speed machined chain ring, all for $55. And it's not bad. It's better than a lot of stuff that comes on these bikes. In fact, the bottom bracket on the Kent Travail failed on our first ride. I do hear a little bit of creaking, but otherwise, ooh, what's that? And those cranks were nothing to write home about. Neither was the chain ring. It was like stamped steel. For $55, we upgraded all of that, and it's been performing flawlessly since. But this isn't the only bike I've put it on. We also put it on Heather's bike. We built this on Flip Bike almost a year ago, and it's still performing flawlessly, same exact crankset. And one of the things that makes this such a good value is it has an externally mounted BSA bottom bracket, which makes the stance a little bit wider. And so the design is stronger. This has a nice big spline. It's got pinch bolts. It's not like made by a real bike company. Like, they probably have this under like 20 different names on Amazon and Alibaba, but it happens to be pretty good for the money. And so I would recommend it if you're trying to fix up an old bike. If it doesn't work out, wherever you got it from will probably take it back and give you another one just like it. So another product that's on the Kent Travail, Micro Shift drivetrains. They make derailleurs, shifters, cassettes, and they're good. Really, really good for the money. The derailleur that came on the Kent Travail was really basic, no clutch or anything like that, and it performed just fine. But when we upgraded to the clutched version, it was flawless. I mean, no fuss whatsoever. You set it up and it just shifts perfectly. You bang it around, still shifts really good, not finicky, nice light touch, and the clutch worked really well. It's got really good chain retention. Now you can buy that derailleur, a 9-speed cassette, and the shifter for $130. Now if you need to buy those 3 things to upgrade a bike to a 1x, that is an astonishing value, especially considering the performance. It's up there. Now it's true that you can get SRAM NX and then you're gonna have a 12-speed drivetrain, but you're not necessarily gonna have more range, and you're gonna spend more than double that to piece one of those together. And so if you have a really basic entry-level bike, maybe with a 3x, you're looking to upgrade the drivetrain, a Micro Shift Advent with a clutch is just, there's no other value that even comes close. And so I highly recommend it. Now, one part that we did not swap out on the Kent Travail, the original tires. These CST Patrols have held up. They have not gone flat. They have not gotten torn open. And although they're kind of smooth, fast-rolling cross-country tires, they've performed pretty admirably. But CST makes a lot of really good tires, and they're cheap. This is the CST Rockhawk. It is tubeless ready. The mold looks amazing. The compound's even pretty good. You're not gonna find these tires outside of the $30 to $50 range. And that's insane because many of us are used to spending $90 or more on tires. Not only that, but they seem to have a lot of really good options with really good tread patterns. For instance, does the tread pattern on the BFT look familiar to you? Look at these. This is everything you have probably come to expect from a really good tire. Now, it is a little bit lighter duty, but the pricing is unbelievable. I think that Kent made a really good decision putting them on the Travail, because we would have not ever been able to do anything we did with this bike with one of those cheap tires that you see on most Walmart bikes. So if you've been mountain biking for any amount of time, there is a good chance that you own some kind of an action camera, probably a GoPro. Now, the new GoPro Hero 11 Black is an amazing camera, but it costs $650. But this is a Hero 8. It's better in a lot of ways, and you can find them brand new for $250. Now, of course, better is subjective. Of course, the Hero 11 is a more capable camera with more power, but this will shoot in 4K also. It has really good stabilization, and it's way smaller. In fact, it's one of the smallest modern GoPros ever made, and so it's really easy to mount on, let's say, your helmet. Now, every GoPro before it sat inside like kind of a case. This one is the first model with the built-in fingers on the bottom, and so makes it more compact, makes it smaller. Also, the next GoPro after this was the Hero 9, and then it went up in size in every single direction. It also has a lot less of that compact, convenient charm that GoPros are known for, and I think the Hero 8 exemplifies this the best. Now, you can see from this footage that it looks incredible. In fact, a lot of Alexander's videos are still shot on the Hero 7 to this day, and this is an upgrade even from that. And so the new ones are really, really powerful, but you can't argue with the value of this generation of GoPro. And so if you're looking for a new one and you don't need all the fancy features, a Hero 8 is really good for some helmet-mounted point of view video. So there you have it, some products that are of a really, really good value. They're not necessarily my favorite products. Admittedly, a lot of the stuff I like isn't necessarily a good value, but if you want to make extra sure that your money is going to something that's gonna pay you back, you want something of good value, and so that's why I made a dedicated video to listing those products. Of course, these are my experiences. There's a whole bunch of other stuff out there that I haven't mentioned, and so chime in below. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.